At Snoresworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on a Wednesday afternoon for the next 3 hours. You're with us. A lot to get to. Grizzlies in action last night. The first game since the news of Ja Morant's season-ending injury. Tigers play tonight, their second home game of American Athletic Conference play against UTSA. So very busy here locally, very busy nationally around the country in the sports world. So a lot to get to today. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great, Brian. Good afternoon to you. And 13th ranked Memphis Tigers on the floor tonight at FedEx Forum after two thrilling wins, one at FedEx Forum Sunday afternoon, one on the road last week to start 2-0 in AAC play. And I think tonight will be a really good it's a good part of the schedule for Penny Hardaway to maybe get some people some run time that hadn't. Yesterday Dave mentioned with us, the potential of Carl Sharon finally maybe getting extended time and put him in and put those type players in with the green light on. Let's see what Tigers are going to beat Texas San Antonio tonight. We know that. So get some guys some run time, see who can do it with the bright lights of the FedEx Forum stage on that might can help, as the rest of this year goes on. And I know everybody's really concentrating on net. Net will work out. The net will, if the Tigers keep winning, human nature will take over from some of these metrics. It may not take completely over, but it will play a role.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And tonight, I like what you said about maybe getting some of these guys, Jonathan Pierre, another name that I think you could see get some run tonight. Because, if we're being honest, UTSA is just not a very good team. And so this is a team, and we'll make picks later during Tiger Bankroll. But this is a team that I don't think the Tigers will have any problems with. I think I saw somebody on Twitter, put up their pregame story. I don't remember if it was who they were with, maybe a blog or something, and said this is probably the worst team Memphis will play the rest of the season. I think they're probably right. UTSA is not a very good team, and that's nothing against UTSA, but this should be a good opportunity at home. Tigers can maybe get out there. Everyone's been talking about the slow starts for the Tigers. Maybe get a strong start and maybe get a comfortable lead where you can really play these guys and get them some good run. Because, like you said, Brett, with the Caleb Mills injury, you're going to have somebody step up, and it might be one of these guys that you need minutes from that just haven't been getting them so far through the season. Yeah,
got to see what you can do, and tonight's a good chance for that. Wichita State coming up on Sunday, that was a game in the preseason that I had as a loss, just looking for a loss or two on the road.
Yeah.
I had 15-3 in conference with all three losses on the road. The kind of the predictable one to Florida Atlantic. I'm not so sure about that now on the road, and sure not at FedEx Forum. And I had two others again, just searching for places. Could it happen at Tulane again? Well, it could, but I don't think it will. Could it happen at UAB? It could, but I don't think it will. So, but I had one for Wichita State. Now I don't think that coming up on Sunday. And I don't think it for the other one I have at Temple coming up. So, but I still think there will be one or two on the road, and that's acceptable. I sure won't, and I don't think collectively Sports Talk Radio airwaves should freak out about any road loss. Unless it's somebody like at Temple. I think you can have a road loss at SMU. You sure can have a road loss, but a home loss to almost anybody other than Florida Atlantic, then it's going to be some rancor over it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and certainly people wouldn't be happy with it. And we'll just have to see. I think they've had two really, really close games in conference, and I really want to see a strong start tonight against UTSA and try to carry that into this next game, a road game against Wichita State. It'll be a rocking building in that one over the weekend, and so I want them to use tonight's game to really kind of kickstart what we saw a couple weeks ago when they really had that tough stretch against those top 25 teams.
Brian, I often say it really about, well, even the Tigers against FCS in football and about SEC and FCS.
Mm-hmm.
If it's opening day next year against North Alabama, that will really be about the Memphis Tigers.
Absolutely.
That's not going to be about North Alabama. Okay, respect your opponent,
Right.
and you do all that. And often when Ole Miss plays against that FCS opponent, opening day next year against Furman, that game will be about Ole Miss. Tonight is about the Memphis Tigers, not necessarily UTSA. And again, respect the opponent, play hard, but the Tigers are going to beat UTSA. Now, will they beat them by the 19.5?
Find out what we think later.
We had a group lock win on Sunday. We all had SMU plus the points.
Yeah, no, we all faded the Tigers. I think maybe the first time, certainly few times we've all faded the Tigers. A group
I think
lock
the
fade.
first time to all go against.
I think so. So will that happen again today? I do not know. I'm very confident.
I can categorically tell you it will not.
All right. I hope you're right.
I'm going to take Memphis. Spoiler alert. Now the money amount, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Brett, you're playing. Except, Brett, you said, you talked all this talk last week about I'm playing defense, and you're going to see a lot of small amounts from me. And then you threw up a big 100-burger.
Jump out there with a Hunsky on Sunday, don't
I?
Man, I was shocked when he did that.
See a text message, give me SMU for 100.
I'm like, whoa.
What are we talking about?
I was scared to death of that game. I was much more scared of that game than I was at Tulsa when everybody was kind of on, the ghosts of the past and the demons of playing at Tulsa. I was more scared of Sunday, and then at halftime, I really thought, here it's really getting ready to happen. So I did wait at least until church services were over for y'all on Sunday. I felt bad sending it to two good God fearing men during church one time.
Well, Brett, like I told you when you said that on Friday, it wouldn't be the first time I was betting on something in the Lord's house. I mean.
Well, I had 100 on SMU, and I can show you on the pad that I originally had down 200.
Whoa!
And crossed it out to just go to 100 because I didn't feel that good about it. But I crossed out, went to 100. I'm at 1,400. You're at 750, and Johnny's at 635. You're with the group lock win, and that was the first time all year we've all gone against.
Wow. So I guess who knows? Maybe we'll have a group lock in the Tigers' direction tonight. I guess
we've done that a bunch.
We have done that a bunch, and
we're 2-4 on group locks.
2-4 on group locks.
So
wow.
1-4 picking the Tigers.
So maybe something to keep in mind, Johnny, when we
When
we pick that later. I don't know.
But me and Brian, we both got our Tiger hoodies on.
We do.
So,
y'all do
who
look
knows?
good too.
We're
in honor of the Harbaughs, I got on my Super Bowl 47.
I love that.
Sweater from
that's
down
nice.
in New Orleans.
That's great.
The Harbaugh Boys Super Bowl.
I love that.
I love it, man.
So,
The sweater's 11 years old.
It's hard to believe.
And I don't remember it this snug in the past either.
Ooh.
I think what must have shrunk in the chest of drawer. I think that's what happened.
It had to shrink.
When you wash and dry it, they always warn you about it shrinking. Speaking of Memphis football, and we'll get to the Grizzlies here in a second, but the Tigers go out and hire Lou Esposito this morning as the co-defensive coordinator, defensive line coach, which I got excited about this morning because, Brett, I don't know if you remember this back during the football season, but Lou Esposito was on one of those Maction midweek games, and I was at home watching it with my mother. My mom goes, Lou Esposito, he played for the Tigers.
Sure did. I do remember you making that point.
I looked over to her and I said, "What? Okay." And
good
she said,
good catch, great. And your mom and dad both are great fans. Great catch by her, and very popular hire.
Yeah, very popular. It looks like, and Johnny, I'm sure you're more familiar with this with all of your friends that are on the team.
Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of the guys on that, especially defensive line, and in that defense, are really excited about this hire and what he can do here.
Yeah, a lot of them are excited. Some, of course, when some players' favorite coach leave, of course they think about leaving. But a lot of guys are very excited about him. He seems like you just said, he played here, so that goes a long way, man. He done it, so he goes a long way in the locker room, I feel.
Yeah,
Johnny, he's going to be blown away by the facilities he's coming back to coach in than what he played in.
Yes, it's a completely 360 from what he had.
It is. Yeah. Really great facilities, and he popular hire. Johnny, have you, through the years of your relationship with the football team, I don't know if there's a position grouping that's tighter with a position coach. Now that you always have the offensive coordinator with the quarterback, they have to be in sync. But I think offensive lineman with O-line coach and D lineman with D-line coach, that's the bond. That's the one.
Yes, you really have. And since Kyle Pope did leave, some guys do feel some type of way. But that's just life, man. Things happen, man. You can't really control that. But I feel like how he played the game, we talking about the new coach, everybody is very excited about it, man, especially in the city of Memphis. He's been here before. So I feel like this is a great hire. This is really a good hire.
Yeah,
much loved. And talking about how changes happen now, this is for professionals and for largely adults. The shocker today in Seattle. There's always one surprise. I didn't have that one. I thought maybe that one surprise might be Robert Saleh, or that one surprise might be might be somewhere else. Not there.
Yeah, no, that was a big shocker.
I would have bet Sean Payton before Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
On a shocker front.
I mean, I would have. You could have given me 30 guesses at coaches that would have been changed, and I don't know if I would have gone Pete Carroll. But it sounds like it wasn't a huge surprise up in Seattle. I have some things that I found interesting after the report that I'm going to save to my top story, because that's my top story of the day. But it is interesting. I mean, 14 seasons. He's going to stay with the organization. But I don't think it was as happy-go-lucky. We're just going to, I'm tired of coaching. I'm ready to be back in a,
He was pushed.
Yeah, he was definitely pushed out of there. But it was, it's a shocker. It still blows my mind. And it came out, a couple hours ago, and it's still hard for me to believe.
Now NFL head coaching by seniority. Belichick hanging on at 1, and we're still waiting any second, we think, for that. Yeah. 2, Mike Tomlin. I don't think that's changing.
No.
3, John Harbaugh. I know that's not changing. No. And now Pete Carroll out, moves Andy Reid to 4, Sean McDermott at 5, Sean McVay at 6, Kyle Shanahan at 7, Matt LaFleur 8, Zach Taylor 9, and Mike McCarthy 10.
That's crazy. I mean, that just shows you how fast
really
this stuff moves. I mean, that's really hard to believe. I mean, it feels like he was just hired yesterday.
It feels like he's been fired a couple times.
It does. It feels like there's been a lot in that span, but 10th, I mean, that really is. That's hard to believe.
Hired January 5th, 2020. He's now 10th. Kevin Stefanski's 11th.
Wow. That's even harder to believe.
I feel like it was yesterday he was around FedEx Forum with his dad.
Yeah, but I mean, that just showed me how quick it is for a lot of these organizations and making changes. It can happen really fast. Brett, we're about to get to top and not top story, but the Grizzlies, a big win for them on the road last night.
Win of the year.
Absolutely. I mean, really incredible.
I just stepped on my top story.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, back
I did
and forth.
it though.
Yeah, that's right. But
it highlighted the aggravation of yesterday of finally getting something together, getting together the most unlikely 3-game road winning streak.
Yeah.
From when I left FedEx Forum a week ago tonight, I thought, I really thought the season's over. And then go win that 3-gamer. But yesterday, on the saddest day of the year, to get the best win of the year.
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of, said that game doesn't matter tonight. They're not going to win this game. It's going to be tough. You're going up against Luka and Kyrie.
No Jaren.
No Jaren either. I mean, it's going to be impossible. And what Desmond Bane did last night, was just incredible. And he has been playing like that all season long. I know a lot of people are calling for him to get some all-star love. And I'm kind of right there with him. I mean, for him, I know the record doesn't reflect, but what he's been doing and kind of being able to step in and be this leader for this team has been really impressive. Marcus Smart had another good game, but kind of something to keep an eye on with that dislocated finger. Very weird how that happened, celebrating the 3, and then next thing you know, he's asking to come out because of that finger. So something to
and you could see him explaining it to Ja and to Who else was? Jaron was on the bench. Who else was on the bench? Maybe.
I think I forgot who was down there. Maybe Derrick Rose, but I don't remember.
Derrick Rose was the row behind him. It was 3, right? And you could see the expression on their faces like, that happened because of that?
Literally. I mean, me and my buddies went back like 3 times, like trying to figure out where exactly.
Brandon Clark.
It was Brandon Clark. That's right. But it was just so weird. But hopefully, I don't think finger dislocations shouldn't be out too long, if at all. But very weird. But nonetheless,
and I think it was
win.
headed in the wrong. It was going in the wrong direction too, because you could see Ja kind of exclaim, "Oh, that happened with that."
Yeah. But hopefully, you either miss just a couple of games or no time at all, because he's been really, really big these last couple games. I think 3 straight games with 20 or more points. And really, after all of the talk of Marcus Smart ain't giving you anything, he's not playing well, get rid of him, trade him before the deadline. He's really he's really finding his groove.
There's deal talk out there.
No, yeah, and it was at least getting loud a couple weeks ago, and he's kind of quieted that a little bit, but he's been playing really well along with Desmond Bane. Just a really, really good game from them last night against the Mavericks.
And that game, Desmond Bane, a lot of people talking about the All-Star game, and I'm with them. Mm-hmm. But when we get closer to All-Star game and the actual rosters, there's always that snub. You got to take one out to put one in. Yeah. And when we'll go over that list of who would you take out to put him in if he's not in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that'll certainly be fun to look at. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30. Excited about this. Tom Ackerman from KMOX and the Cardinals Network. He'll join us to talk Cardinals. The Cardinal Caravan coming to Memphis on Friday at AutoZone Park. So we'll learn some more about that and also talk about what the Cardinals have done this offseason. A lot of moves, and it will be certainly a new look rotation for the Cardinals. 3:45, we'll get back into the Grizzlies conversation, talk about their win last night in Dallas against the Mavericks, and also this 3-game stretch on the road. Really impressive before coming back home this weekend for 3 really back-to-back important, tough games for them. 4 o'clock, David Cohn, the co-host of Crane and Company, will join us. Our final regular visit with David as the college football season has come to an end. But we'll talk national championship with him. His Michigan Wolverines, national champions. I know he'll be ready to celebrate with us at 4 o'clock. 4:30, this will be fun. Right after we get done talking to David, we're going to do our way too early. Top.
Way.
Yes.
So, all right, so if this is way too early, or is this 3 ways or 2 ways?
Brett, when I was looking at it, you couldn't count the amount of ways. Way too early. I don't know.
All right, so when will be the next one? Sometime after spring?
Yeah, I think maybe after spring ball.
And that'll just be like 2 ways. Way too early.
And then about
around media day
days will just be and then the season will be there. And then
the one that goes down in the Lamb Book of Life.
That's right. That's the one that matters. So our first stab at it, the way too early 12-team playoff and seeds, so 1 through 12.
Will you save these, or let's save these?
I will.
And when next year on, I guess, the Sunday after championship games, and it's revealed, we'll see how foolish we were.
Oh, man. I like it. I'll do it. I'll certainly save mine because it's going to be fun to see. Because even 12. You get 12 stabs at it, and I don't think we're going to be anywhere close.
What's your hit rate you'd like to hit on?
20? I mean, this early?
No. Out of the 12 today, if you got 8 right, would you be pleased?
Well, what would 20% be? 2?
Well, 20, we're going to get more than that.
I don't know.
Now exact seed. So you're talking exact seed.
Yeah, I'm talking about exact seed.
I'll take 2 right now.
I'll take 20% any day. Just teams in there, maybe 4 or 5? I don't know.
Oh, we're going to do better.
I don't feel very confident about mine. It was very tough trying to get 12 teams in there. So we'll see what happens. But our first stab at it we'll get to at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney from CBB Central and Sports Illustrated will join us to talk college basketball. Big night. Last night is number 1 and number 2 both fall in conference games. Purdue loses to Nebraska on the road. Houston also on the road loses to Iowa State. So we'll talk a lot of college basketball at 5 o'clock with Kevin Sweeney. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. And get over there for the floor model sale. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa set under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions as low as $25. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating under $2,000, and four-person hot tubs now under $5,000. Infrared and traditional steam rooms now 25% off. Get ready for summer and purchase your above-ground pool now to get first in line for installation and that special financing. It's still available, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We're Sportstime, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. Bryant, Brett, and Johnny. Johnny Hill, our producer. You can reach us at 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673. But stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500. And you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is what happened in Seattle just a couple hours ago. The big move, Pete Carroll out in Seattle. He'll stay with the organization, but not as the head coach. I think came as a complete shock to really everybody across the country. Now, immediately when I saw the news, I went over and wanted to tune in, see what they were saying on the local Seattle radio stations, and there was a little bit of, this isn't a super big surprise that there had kind of been some rumblings around the front office, around the organizations, that things were kind of getting tense between the two sides, the front office and Pete Carroll. But still, everybody I heard over the last couple hours that I was listening said that this came as a surprise to them. They thought Pete Carroll still had stuff left into the tank. And the thing is the Seahawks put out a release, a statement that said both sides amicably agreed on the change and that Carroll's role, quote, will evolve from head coach to remain with the organization as an advisor. I think this is going to they're going to try to spin this, and Pete Carroll, I think, is either talking with the media now or we'll talk to them at 4 o'clock. So sometime in the next hour, he'll be talking to media, and I think this is going to try to be spun into he's getting up in age, it was just time for him to go. They both agreed he wanted to kind of get out of head coaching and get into more of a advisory role, and that's what happened. But this was a quote from 2 days ago on one of the local Seattle stations from Pete Carroll, quote, on asked about the future. Will you be back next year? Do you plan on coaching next year? This is what he had to say. Quote, I plan to be coaching this team. I love these guys, and that's what I would like to be doing and see how far I can go. I'm not worn out. I'm not tired. I'm not any of that stuff. I just need to do a better job, and I need to help my coaches more. We need to do a better job coaching, and there's a lot of areas of improvement. He went on to talk about that this time of year, there's a lot of conversations about planning and discussions on the future, and that's when it really comes up, and that discussions need to be had and that decisions will be made, but he wanted to remain the head coach. And so don't let anybody fool you. This was not both sides met. He said, I'm getting kind of tired. This is getting a little old. I think I'm ready to move on. No, this was the Seattle Seahawks organization saying, we're ready to move on. We're ready to make a move. It's time for you to go, but we'll keep you around. You've meant so much to the city, to this organization. We'll keep you on as an advisor. Now it sounds like Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, is kind of number one for a replacement. So we'll see what happens, but it's a shocker in Seattle.
It is a shocker. My top story win of the year for the Grizzlies on one of the saddest days in franchise history. There's been way too many of those lately. The Ja news will impact this team as it's in the best stretch of a nightmare year. A game without Jaren Jackson last night, and he's got to be in there more often, too, in the rest of the way. But Desmond Payne, the real rock of this team this year, spectacular. 32, 9, and 6, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists in the win of the year.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, Tigers back in action tonight against UTSA. The second AAC game, home game of the season for the Tigers after the 3-point win at home against SMU on Sunday. I think you'll see a different Memphis team tonight. I think you'll see a team that comes out and has a lot of intensity. I don't think Coach Hardaway has been easy on them this year after 2 wins in conference play. I think he's not happy with how this offense has played. He's said it multiple times in post-game press conferences about how this is not the offense he wants to see. He wants it to be better. A couple weeks ago, he gave them a D+ offensively. So I think you'll see a team that comes out early and really tries to step on UTSA's neck, and I think it should be an easy win for the Tigers tonight at FedEx Forum.
It will be. My not top story. Lakers at 19 up, 19 down, in 10th in seeding. Golden State 17 and 19. They're at 12th. You know the NBA wants them in the play-in, but I can't buy what Darko Rajakovic was ranting about last night. I just can't do it. The fix was not in. It may have been lopsided. It may have been friendly to the Lakers, but I don't think any fix was in. 23 free throws in the fourth quarter. Pretty even through the first 3 quarters. At home tonight for the Lakers, they play Phoenix. I'm sorry, at home tomorrow night they play Phoenix. No way they get that many calls tomorrow night. Everybody's going to be watching with scrutiny.
Oh, yeah, everybody will be watching in Toronto tonight against the Clippers in a back-to-back game for them in L.A. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking Cardinals with Tom Ackerman.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I will not buckle to peer pressure and call Bell Tavern a sports bar. Bell Tavern, tucked away in Barbaro Alley behind 117 Prime, is a great bar. It's got the atmosphere you want in a bar. Not too bright, not too dark, not too quiet, not too loud, and it's got the ice-cold beer and the signature cocktails and access to the kitchen at 117 Prime. So Bell Tavern is first and foremost a bar, just because it happens to be the time of year when professional football happens to be having their playoffs, and yes, they'll be on the high-def TVs at Bell Tavern, but once again, Bell Tavern is not a sports bar entirely.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's been in pretty good shape so far on Sam Cooper going outbound as you make your way past Perkins, Highland. Traffic's holding up right now. Fairly decent on 240 East as you come past Perkins, headed over to 385, which is moving right now on Billmore's Parkway all the way out past Riverdale. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Memphis. It's got to be Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Online, tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now from KMOX and the Cardinals Network, Tom Ackerman joins us now. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. I know you're excited to get down here for the Cardinals Caravan coming up in just 2 days. For me, always kind of the start of the baseball season, especially for the Cardinals. And you look up, spring training will be here before we know it.
It's the same for me, and great to be on with you. Yeah, it's the start of the baseball season. All the guys will be coming into town. I always tell the fans, look around when you get to Starbucks or something like that. You may have one of the ball players next to you as they start to make their way into the city, and they'll start appearing here on Saturday. But like you said, I'm hitting the road on Friday morning with the boys, and we're heading down to Memphis. We're going to go Memphis, Jonesboro, Dyersburg, and then make our way back on Saturday night. There'll be another leg of caravan heading out for a Sunday, Monday trip. So we got 6 of them going out, as we do every year, and really looking forward to it. I've been doing this with the guys for a long time, and I've been on the Memphis one a few times. It'll be good to be back.
Tom, we're looking forward to seeing you. Who will be some of the players and other people on the official party with you?
Well, I am back with Zach Thompson and Gordon Graceffo. Those pitchers were with me last year. I don't know if they've gotten the email yet that I'm their MC, but I would hope that when they see that, they'll be like, "Oh, awesome! We got Ackerman back." Because we had a good time. We had a bunch of laughs with those guys last year. Those are 2 good dudes right there. And then Jose Fermin is going to be on my caravan. I've got a couple of alumni who happen to be my good friends, Kerry Robinson and Kyle McClellan, both St. Louis boys. They both grew up in St. Louis. So think about that. A couple of guys who were born and raised Cardinals fans and then became Cardinals. And in McClellan's case, a world champion. Not many people can say that. Mike Shannon, David Freese, Kyle McClellan. I don't know many others than that. Norsworthy could probably tell me if there's anybody else.
It's a good list.
Qualifies. That I could count them on one hand. And then, of course, I'm saving the big name for last, and that's Mason Wynn. He is going to be with us down in Memphis. People down there know him very well, and I think Mason is not only a special talent, but a very special young man who is going to be a big part of this organization moving forward. He is a great baseball player, and I think that it's just a matter of time before he adjusts to major league pitching. Got a little taste of it last year. It's the best in the world, and I think when he starts to settle in and get his timing down, he already has figured out how to be a great shortstop. He can run the bases. He's a good guy, good teammate, clubhouse guy. I think, in the future, I envision little Mason Wynn jerseys scattered throughout the stadium watching him play. I think that he is one of those guys that the young players in this town and surrounding area are really going to latch onto. The way that he plays with enthusiasm, he brings a lot of life to the Cardinals, and quite honestly, I think they need it. It's nice to bring in young players like Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman, who can provide some excitement for years to come.
Yeah, I'm with you on Mason Wynn, and just to watch him run, to watch him go first to third or first to home, and then what he can do defensively, and he's got to catch up to big league hitting, as you said. But, Tom, this is the first time in a long time, maybe in your career, that you're getting on that Cardinal Caravan bus and you're going out to sell the good word on the Cardinals, and the fans want to hear it because last year it was the struggle bus last year for the Cardinals, a year that we're just not used to. Bryant and I would talk every day, and Bryant's as big a fan as we are, Tom, and we're trying to win Johnny over. Johnny doesn't have a baseball team, and we're trying to lure him over to the Cardinals.
I'm a free agent.
That's right.
And he's in the portal. We're trying to get him. But I said time and again, Tom, and it's a good thing. We are spoiled rotten, and we're ready to get back to winning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll get you some of that NIL money. We'll get you over to the Cardinals.
That's it.
Hey, I might go ahead and sign.
We're open for offers. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think that, the franchise and the history speaks for itself, and the championships and the tradition and the winning, but it also feeds into why the fans are so disgruntled. This is a franchise that does not do that. They do not finish 20 games under 500. I was about to say that I've been on caravans where we felt this way, where last year was a disappointment. And you know what? Those caravans were like talking about how the team was in it in the last week and didn't make the playoffs. This is a totally different animal. But it's the same thing. They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't get to the World Series. Expectations at the start of the year were that they were the favorite in the NL Central. It seems like they are in this position every single year. One of the favorites to win the division. What are they going to do about it? And last year, I think what happened was they took a gamble. So they thought they had a good team, but they took a gamble that Adam Wainwright and company could hold that rotation together, and it fell apart before the season even started.
Yeah.
Wainwright gets hurt in the World Baseball Classic. Michaelis hardly pitches in the World Baseball Classic. He gets off to a slow start. Matz gets hurt. They have Jordan Montgomery, but the rotation is in shambles. They go dip into the minor leagues. They bring Woodford along with them, and that doesn't work. Hudson comes along, but that's not the answer. And it was just one thing after the other where pitchers weren't going deep into games. And when that happens, you are in big, big trouble. And I think that anybody who looks at this team would realize that that is where it started. Nobody is necessarily to blame for that, not one person or not one player, but it just started to feed on itself and it completely fell apart. It affected everything. That when starters can't go deep, the bullpen can't finish, the bullpen starts blowing saves. The offense, which actually is a pretty good lineup, I still think one of the better ones in the National League, they start to press because they think they've got to score 7 runs a game to win games, so they're kind of out of their element and doing things they're not supposed to be doing. Defense actually suffered for various reasons. One of them was that there was pressure, I think, on them. But the other one was that, they didn't adjust well to the shift, and ground balls are sneaking through, and that was the other mistake the Cardinals made, was they didn't have enough swing and miss pitchers. They thought they could rely on ground ball pitchers.
In play.
Well, that doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work right now with no shift. I mean, so it all just kind of fed on itself, and it ended up being a train that derailed, basically, and they were out of it in the middle of the summer. I mean, it was over. You knew that in July when they start assembling the pieces to trade. So the season was over a few months into the season at best. So, you don't want to ever repeat that again. And I think that the Cardinals feel motivated. So you asked me, how does the bus, the caravan, and the whole winter warm-up and everything like that feel? I think the Cardinals will put on a face that, hey, we're the Cardinals. We're fine. We're good. It's business. We're going to get after it. We can't wait. It's exciting. And they're all good guys, and they'll smile and shake hands. But I think deep inside there's a fire that will burn, and I think there's a little bit of embarrassment. And I think that they will be motivated to get back to what they used to be. And I think that starts from the top. I think it absolutely starts in that dugout with Ollie Marmol. I know that for a fact. He's not happy at all about what happened last year. I think some guys, show it outwardly, like Nolan Arenado. He burns hot. You can see it in his face when things aren't going well. He's emotional. A guy like Paul Goldschmidt is, he's a big-time competitor, but he's a gentleman and, just kind of goes about his business. But I promise you, internally, they all want to prove something. And that's how I feel this team is moving forward. Now, the fans themselves, I'll go back to that. So the expectations are really high for the Cardinals. And, I hear this sometimes, whether it's with our own fan base or whether it's from others, that, these Cardinals fans are spoiled. Listen to them, complaining about pitching, complaining about not having enough arms, complaining about being only good enough to win the division. No, the standards of the Cardinals are very high. You know, they put a giant, I mean, Brett's seen it a million times, a giant World Series trophy in the middle of Ballpark Village. You can't miss it. You pull in there, there's a huge World Series trophy.
That's
you walk into Busch Stadium, they have 11 World Series flags waving out in right field. There are constant reminders of what the expectation is for the Cardinals. So, no, fans who are negative or positive, whatever, are great fans who care about the team. I'd rather have that than apathy. And that's the theme for me is let's get everyone back together, whether you are upset or whether you're, hopeful or whatever it is, and let's talk about this and get this thing back on track.
Mm-hmm. We aren't the Marlins. We aren't the Nationals.
No, definitely not. And this is Alabama football, Kentucky basketball, Tennessee
IU
football,
basketball.
Yep.
Right, whatever it is. It's a college sports type of
I had to get your Hoosiers in there, Tom. Come on.
Yeah, I got to get the Hoosiers in there. Hey, the 76 Hoosiers kept their...
they keep it alive, don't they?
That's right.
But, that's what the Cardinals really are. That's what the fan base is. They're always going to be there. They love coming to the games. They love the guys. They treat them like royalty. If you play for the Cardinals once, even if you play for them for 2 months, you're remembered forever. But you're also expected to play a certain way and to win. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a business of winning, and they don't take that very lightly around here. So, or anywhere where they celebrate the Cardinals. So it's an interesting time right now, and I think that can they win the division? They can, but I think they're just sort of in the mix right now. I see 4 teams actually that could make a run.
Tom, you mentioned the rotation and the acquisitions that the Cardinals made over the offseason, getting Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson. What did you make of those additions to the rotation, and how would you compare what is projected as this year's starting rotation to the starting rotation last year going into the season?
Yeah, last year with that, what I was describing about the innings, that is not going to happen this time. I mean, so the Cardinals went out and did what they absolutely had to do. Did they... and some fans will say that they don't have enough sizzle, and I totally get it. I understand. But I also saw the Mets spend for everybody, and they stunk. I saw the Padres go nuts. I mean, who wasn't on the Padres, man? All I heard about all offseason last year, Padres this, Padres that, super team. They were like every MLB promo had the Padres and how great San Diego is and all this stuff. They weren't good, and they went over the top too. So the Cardinals, I will give them credit for this. First of all, they're not one of those big spending. They have got money, but this is not a market where they can just write check after check after check. But they do want to be great, and they want to be great every year, though, and they don't want to risk falling apart. Anyway, I'll give them credit for this. They went out and did exactly what they said they were going to do. They said, we have to add pitching, we have to add innings, we have to do it immediately. And they didn't waste any time. They went out and they filled that thing by Thanksgiving. I mean, it was over. They went out and got Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and then they went over the top to get Sonny Gray to front the rotation. And I'm not so sure that they've closed the door. I think they are still monitoring who is out there. And what makes sense for them, if it does, I think they may take a look at it. But they did everything by the winter meetings because they didn't want to get caught in a situation where we need pitching, is what they're telling themselves, but we're not going to sit around and wait. I mean, you got to get the 3 spots filled pronto and then figure it out. So what they've done is they've added veteran pitchers who understand and can throw innings and can give yourself a chance. I mean, they had no chance last year with guys going 3, 4, 5 innings. Right. You got to go 5, 6, 7. Now, the other thing they did is they added strike throwers. They added swing and miss guys. They added students of the game. And in the case of Sonny Gray, second in the Cy Young voting last year, he's not second in the Cy Young every year, but he reminds me of like Pat Henkin, anybody who goes back to the 90s, with this team. Uh-huh. Like a pitcher like that, he's going to say, hey, give me the ball. I'll give you 32 starts. I'm going to win 15 games. I'm going to teach your guys how to pitch. I'm going to work with the catcher. I'm a pro. that's Sonny Gray. I mean, he's going to go out and get the job done. Kyle Gibson, pro, absolutely, same thing, maybe just a little bit below Gray, but he won 15 games last year for a really good Orioles team, and he was a big part of that team that won a lot of games. Then there's Lynn. Lynn's already been around one time, and at one point, he was the best starter on this team. That was a little while ago, and you could point to last year, the implosion pitching for the Dodgers in the postseason or giving up 44 home runs. I think both sides of this have identified something, and that's why he's in St. Louis. The Cardinals identified something they think he can improve. That he's identified something he thinks he can improve on. They think that this park, which tends to be way more of a pitcher's park than anything else, is going to reduce those home runs significantly, and that he can help them. And so I do think that it's a much different situation than last year. I think I'd love to have a Jordan Montgomery, obviously, but Montgomery is a free agent, and he should get paid big bucks, and he should go get the best offer he possibly can. And if that's not going to be in St. Louis, which I haven't heard that it would be, then he needs to go do that. But I do think the rotation's good.
Yeah. I'm excited. I know it's only January, but I am stoked for Cardinal baseball. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your time here in Memphis with the Cardinal Caravan, and we'll definitely have to get you back on when we get closer to the season.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see everybody down there. I love coming to the Caravan, and I can't wait to get this season started. But there's still a little ways to go. Spring training and then the start of the season. Oh, boy, how about that in L.A. against Ohtani? That won't be a circus.
Yes, it will. Bring it on, Big Bad Dodgers. Bring it on. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, guys. Thank you.
You got it.
Tom Ackerman joining us from KMOX and the Cardinals Network. Cardinal Caravan Friday night at AutoZone Park. Brett, I can't. I mean, the entire time we were talking to Tom, all I was thinking about was, man, I wish I could get off at 6 o'clock and go home and watch a Cardinals game. I mean, I'm excited.
It's got me excited too, and I've gotten several texts about along the same lines. And the boys of summer will be here soon.
Yep.
Next week, when it's down to this record cold, Brian, there's two things we need to think about. Either those hot nights when we're listening or watching the Cardinals, or even sitting at Busch Stadium, and think about next week in that really extreme cold weather. That Friday last year at the golf tournament when we were leaving, when I told you it may have been one of the hottest days I've ever had in my life. We need to think about the boys of summer and that day at the golf course next week in the cold weather.
That's a good point. That was a hot Friday at the golf tournament. But no, baseball will be here before we know it, and it's always fun talking to Tom Ackerman. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we mentioned earlier Grizzlies, a big win in Dallas last night. We're talking Grizzlies next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. 2 final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, the Cardinals. We were just talking Cardinals with Tom Ackerman. I'm Brett. I told you in the break. I'm probably going to go home tonight watch like a game from last year for the Cardinals. But no, the Grizzlies wrapped up.
Go home and watch the David Freese home run.
I can't do that, Brett.
That's right. That's right.
That was a bad time for me. But I might. Maybe I've grown as a person. But no, the Grizzlies wrapped up their 3-game road trip last night on the road in Dallas.
Best trip of the year.
Best trip of the year by far. Maybe best trip in the last couple of years.
Now, 4 out of 5. Mm-hmm. The first time for the Grizzlies to be – look, you got to start somewhere, and the claw back, the scratch and grind to get back. Mm-hmm. First time to be 8 under 500 since December 8th.
Incredible. And now over 500 on the road, 11-10 in road games. And Brett, I think the biggest thing for me that stood out in this game last night is Dallas came out – very quickly. It was a 7-0, 7-2 game. Dallas kind of punching them in the mouth early, and I thought, okay, it's going to be really easy for this team without Ja, without Jaren to lay down, and this really, probably be the same score, but Dallas 120-103 for the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies, just remained consistent, had massive second and third quarters, and just played really, really well. I was really impressed with what I saw last night. And
DeMichael Cole told us this on Monday when we were still harboring illusions of maybe getting back in it with Ja, but he was talking about how Luke Kennard is really starting to find a groove, and he did last night. 23 minutes played, 3 of 4 from three-point land, 14 points, and he's playing so well. Zaire Williams, 14 points. I think in the best Zaire groove of his career.
Yeah, and that's what you need, and I think it's going to be huge for him. Now, with this season kind of being a throwaway season with the Ja Morant injury, I think this will be a huge year for Zaire in development and trying to kind of get back in that flow, because they're going to rely on him so much to be on the floor with not only Ja being out, but with the other injuries. And so I've really liked what I've seen. I'm a huge Zaire guy, and so I watching him, drop 14 last night, have 4 rebounds, I really liked what I saw.
I think I have hoisted the white flag. Tom Ackerman was talking about the Cardinals out of it, and he was being kind, talking July. Brian, we knew Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We knew in May that
Tom being
not going the wrong direction. It was over.
Yeah,
Tom's
a professional. He knows what he's doing.
He is, and very, very loyal to his hometown and to the Cardinals. I'm ready to white flag it for the Grizzlies, but what if? Win Friday over the Clippers, win Saturday over the Knicks, win Monday afternoon at Dr. King Day over Golden State. That would be 6 straight, 7 out of 8. Really in some of those white flags?
Brad, I think you might have to. I mean, a stretch like that. Now, I don't know if those stretches, can you continue that stretch with how kind of far back they are and kind of the fight you would have to
then
make
that road trip.
That road trip would be tough. What is that, 4-game road trip, 5-game road trip? I mean, it's a big one.
5 out of 6, 4 in a row, at Minnesota, at Chicago, at Toronto, at Miami. I used to tell Rob, for Minnesota, Chicago, and Toronto, that's the overcoat road trip. That's the take the long handles road trip.
Well, Brett, that might be what we see in Memphis on that MLK Day game.
Sure could. Break it out early.
Might need it in Memphis. Start a couple days early. It's going to be cold. But, no, I mean, if they can get something going, I mean, 3 really tough games this weekend at home, starting off with the Clippers that have been playing so well lately.
Show some fight, though.
If they can show some fight and if they can win 1 or 2 of these games, I think, there's – I don't know if I would say hope, but I think there's some excitement around this team.
I think last night watching was the first kind of fist-pumping, way to go, guys, moment of the year for me. It hadn't been many.
No, there hasn't. And the reaction on social media of, man, this is so much fun to watch. And did we really just see that and kind of the responsive? Because everyone thought they were going to be out of it. Nobody thought they were going to be able to go down Dallas the day after it was announced that Ja Morant was done for the season, that they would be able to go down and do that. It was very impressive. A 120-103 win for the Grizzlies. Like we just mentioned, they're off a couple of days before returning home to face the Los Angeles Clippers. They've got a game tonight against the Toronto Raptors at home. Raptors coming off a back-to-back. So we'll get to see what we can expect to see out of the Clippers tonight when they face Toronto. But let's go ahead, get to a break. When we come back, we're talking college football with David Cohn.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. 5-Ash Roofing, the name to know. 5-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. 5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. 5-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. 5-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
The all-electric EQS sedan from Mercedes-Benz is luxury and innovation on a truly magnificent scale. It's not just the flagship of the Mercedes-Benz electric lineup. It sets a whole new standard for all luxury electric vehicles. You'll marvel at the epic 56-inch touch-sensitive hyperscreen featuring self-upgrading, next-generation AI, and a beautiful, intuitive interface for both driver and front seat passenger. You'll experience next-level comfort in an exquisitely spacious, near-silent cabin, and you'll appreciate the graceful aerodynamic design that almost completely eliminates drag for an outstanding operating range of up to 350 miles on a single charge. The EQS, an object lesson in just how far electric mobility has come. The vehicle's all electric, the feeling all Mercedes. Test drive the EQS today at your local dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/EQS.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's of Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Sports 56 traffic.
But it's already starting to pick up on 240 coming southbound, passing South Parkway down to Norris as that traffic builds over here already on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out into Fayette County, going outbound on Summer Avenue. That's also on the increase. Same thing there as you come off the interstate onto Austin P Highway outbound. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Memphis. It's got to be Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Online at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
College football talk as David Cohn, the co-host of Crane & Company with Jake Crane, joins Bryant, Brett, and Jay Morgan, a college quarterback at Michigan, a tall man that's on Twitter at David Adam Cohn. Here's David with Bryant and Brett.
Michigan fight song, the song of the national champions, also the song of the alma mater of David Cohn, a man who I know is excited to talk about his Michigan Wolverines. David, thanks for joining us. What was Monday like for you? I know y'all were live with Crane & Company watching the game, reacting to everything, but what was that like watching Michigan win it all?
Boys, they finally finished one. They finished strong. That's a beautiful song you just played. What a week. What a game. It was incredible. And, I have to say, to to watch that game live, it was a very tense experience. I think we had, 230,000 views in there on that live stream, wow. Something like that. So we're just incredibly proud for all of our fans and friends to join us for that moment. And as with any national championship, it's very exciting time of the year, but also sad because it's the last college football game of the season. But specifically for Michigan, I feel like I speak for many when I say I thought that winning a championship on the national scale was something that had become unattainable for the program, just because of the stranglehold that the Southeastern Conference has had on our sport, how dominant they've been, and then in our own conference, the Buckeyes have been the gold standard for more than a decade. And when things really got bad in 2020, Jim Harbaugh pointed at himself and said, "This has not been good enough. I have not been good enough, but I will be." And he said, "We're either going to win a championship or die trying." That was his phrase. Since then, he's gone 40-3, a 15-0 perfect season, and a national championship. I could not be more proud of everyone involved, players, coaches, and staff members inside of Schembechler Hall, many of whom I played with, many of whom I played for. It's a very special season.
And the party's still going strong in Ann Arbor. You can dip into a couple of the live cameras and things in the popular areas, and they're partying, and they should. The first 5 years was tough, and then coming out of COVID, you're right, Coach Jim Harbaugh, he got the program corrected. All right, put your pure D, put your letter jacket on, put your just Michigan fandom all the way. What was the win this year? The one that you when you're 75, you'll look back on and go, yeah, that was special.
Well, there's a handful of them. It's always going to be the game against Ohio to me, mostly because this year, that was where most of the noise was coming from on this advanced scouting, and you guys are just cheaters, and that's the only reason you've been able to beat us these last 2 years. And not only that, but just the team they had was just absolutely, incredible. So to beat them is always going to be a memorable experience. And trust me, I was more amped for that game than even the national championship. At least here, I had buddies on the Washington staff. It was a little bit of a win-win, but that one's always going to stick out. Obviously, going on the road and beating Penn State is going to be memorable just for the fact that the Big Ten commissioner had the audacity to suspend Jim Harbaugh the night before when he's on the plane going there.
Pull your coach off the bus. Yeah.
I mean, Sharon Moore having to step off the bus. They don't throw a pass in the second half because they see the way the game's going. That's going to be memorable, of course. Holding the most prolific offense in the country this week to 13 points is going to be something that stands out to me. I think this defense is going to go down in college football history as being one of those top defenses. And then, I think it goes without saying that the win against Alabama is going to be remembered for a long time, mostly just because, like I said at the beginning, the Southeastern Conference has been the gold standard across the country in our sport, and chief among those teams is Alabama and Nick Saban. I know Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs have been on an incredible run. I said Jim Harbaugh was 40-3 the last 3 seasons. I think Kirby Smart is 40-2. So I know that they've been on quite a run, and the Michigan-Georgia game would have been a fantastic football game. I know everybody wants to talk about that, but make no mistake about it, the SEC championship this year was a playoff game. There were several playoff games down the stretch. That was one. Alabama came out on top. Michigan got to face the greatest college football coach in history in Nick Saban, and to win that game and sort of defeat an SEC team en route to this championship is going to be remembered for a very long time. And what I'm saying, guys, is that this is the first national championship that Michigan has won. And here's why I'm saying it, because everything else, all those other titles before now, were claimed or awarded by the media.
Popularity contest.
Not this one. Not this one. There is no coaches poll and AP poll and split with Nebraska, or we're claiming this one, you're claiming
Licking House.
No. This one right
Walter
here,
Camp.
They beat everyone. They beat them all. They beat them all in their conference. They beat their rival. They beat the greatest college football coach of all time. They beat the most prolific offense in the country. They did it all 15-0 through all this adversity they have to face. I can't imagine how tight-knit that locker room is, because we were 3 points away from playing for the national title when I was a freshman. We had a defense that held opponents under 10 points a game. I thought we were great. To see what this team has done, it's the greatest team in the history of Michigan football.
I don't think there's any doubt. David, last summer at SEC Media Days, when you so kindly agreed to do regular Wednesday hits, this is exactly what I wanted from you. The knowledge you have about across college football, to pick Washington and Michigan in the preseason, to have the institutional knowledge that you have about the SEC, and then the story of the year. We catch you in the year, the story of the year of your beloved Michigan Wolverines, and you called it all year through all the fits and starts and all the controversies. You called it straight as a pin, and we couldn't be more appreciative. You just so brought it in. It's part of what you and the Crane boys are, and what y'all have established, and what you're doing. What Michigan did to opposing quarterbacks this year, you could say Kyle McCord had a good game. I think 271. He had a good game. And some are going to laugh when I say this, but he's the all-time leading passer in the history of the Big Ten. What Michigan did to Taulia Tagovailoa, 2 interceptions, or Maryland maybe pulls the upset if they don't lock him down.
No doubt. And first off, thank you for your kind words. The feeling is mutual, man. Coming on here every single week and joining you guys has just brought me a lot of joy. And I've been in the sports media business for 3 seasons, and to see Michigan football these last 3 years sort of take off that's been a lot of fun, and it's certainly been beneficial to me, and I hope it's been beneficial to my alma mater, because I've tried to bring every sort of skill set that I have to speak about a program that I have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears invested in, for sure. When you talk about that Michigan defense and the way that what they did to opposing quarterbacks, I thought it was so interesting these past 2 games in the playoffs and the championship to compete against the biggest difference you could find in 2 quarterbacks, right? First of all, in Jalen Milroe, and a guy that can take off for 85 yards with his legs at any given time. And that's why 68 to 70% of the money came in on Alabama over Michigan, because Michigan hadn't beaten a quarterback like that who could do that with his legs. If you overrush him on the end and he finds a lane in the middle, he can take off and score from anywhere on the field. Yeah. Combined with the fact that he had been getting better and better with his arm throughout the season, that's why so many people took Alabama. When they sacked him 7 times, 5 in the first half, that really sent a loud message. So going into this past week, like I told you guys last week, Michigan is not going to sack Michael Penix Jr. like they did Jalen Milroe. It's not going to happen. One, that offensive line over there, even they won the Joe Moore Award, but even if they do bully them around, Michael Penix Jr. and these offensive coordinators, these game planners, they're going to get the ball out of his hands very quick. And you saw that. They were getting the ball to Odunze in the tunnel screens, on the now screens, and some of them were even effective. What it came down to was Michigan tackling in space. I only saw one missed tackle, and there were a couple tackles on the edges. There's no one behind them. Jesse Minter is putting these guys in space and saying, if you miss this tackle, it's going to be a touchdown. So the way that Jesse Minter was able to game plan, not just with that front 7, but the most improved unit that I've seen from Michigan these past 3 years, which has been the secondary, with Will Johnson, who may end up being a top 10 pick next year because he's a sophomore and he's coming back, with Mike Sanders still, who's a senior, who came back for this moment. Like, everything that those guys did, it's so incredible, it's hard to even speak about. But yeah, they did it time and time again. And one of the reasons, when we talked about Michael Penix Jr. and these NFL receivers that Washington has, one of the reasons I wasn't quite as worried for Michigan as I was when they were facing Jalen Milroe is because I've seen this core unit beat an Ohio team that had C.J. Stroud on it, with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison Jr. We faced the best wide receivers in the country before. We faced elite quarterbacks who stand in the pocket. To do it against Alabama a week ago the way they did, with a quarterback who can also be mobile, that was very impressive.
Well, David, I'm glad you mentioned Alabama, and Brett said about having you on this year and all of the things we've been able to talk about. Breaking news coming out just now, a couple seconds ago, Nick Saban is retiring, being reported all over the place. So a new era in Alabama about to begin.
Is that fact?
Yes.
Yes, it's being confirmed by very, very credible sources, and I've reached out to someone that has confirmed as well. Coach Nick Saban is retiring.
Wow, that's news to me. And I kind of feel a little bit like Taylor Lewan when he was live on Rich Eisen and he found out Mike Vrabel was being fired.
That's a tough spot to be in. Sorry, I couldn't get you. I couldn't get a text out to you fast enough, David.
No problem. But it's part of the business. And what can I say other than what I've already said, which is he is the greatest college football coach of all time. What is it? 7 national titles overall.
There's no doubt.
6 in the span of 15 years. I mean, a double-digit win season every year he coached at Alabama, except for the first one. The accolades, it's sort of like my mind is going back to when Tom Brady retired. It's like the accolades were so many. Every stat you find about the guy is more impressive than the last one. So I am a bit surprised, only because I know that his public comments for so long have been, hey, I'm going to die being the head coach here. But I'm happy for him because I know that any decision that he's come to is one that's been well thought out and thought out with Miss Terry, and maybe he can spend more time at Lake Burton. But, man, what an incredible force in college football. And if this is the case, if he is not going to be on the sidelines at Alabama anymore, then all I can hope is that he will take a leadership position for college football as a whole. That's what we need more than anything, guys. I'm telling you right now, the biggest problems that our sport has to deal with are not unsolvable. Like it would only take
leadership.
One guy, give Nick Saban 12 months, and this sport could be transformed in a way that you can't even imagine for the better. So I'm hoping
I'd take him as president.
Yeah, you and me both.
You're so right about that. I hope he does take that role. We don't need him on game day dancing around with a helmet on. We need him running the sport that right now has a leadership vacuum that is really, really large. But it is the breaking news, and I really on the last time you were going to appear with us for this year, David, I was going to say when we got through today, we're going to check with you periodically in the summer. We may be checking with you quicker than in the summer with this breaking news, and now it is legitimately everywhere as breaking news. And I don't think anybody's going to spike the ball, but another feather for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverine program. They were the last team to play and defeat Coach Nick Saban at that historic Rose Bowl setting.
You know, I said down the stretch, it's starting to feel a little more and more like destiny for this Michigan team. And I also said, hey, never underestimate Michigan's ability in any sport to lose a big game. I've seen it a lot of times. It hurt to say it because, like I said, I've invested so much time with that program. But it felt more and more like maybe this is a team of destiny. When you say a phrase like that, it sort of really solidifies it. 15-0 perfect season, and you were the last team to face the greatest football coach in college football history. That's, man, that is really something.
Well, I know obviously you just got the news while you've been on with us, but when you look at that now opening at Alabama, I mean, who are some names that come to your mind that you think could be a reply? I mean, nobody can replace Nick Saban, but who do you think would be
we got to get them ready.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, I think that the main thing here, first and foremost, is Nick Saban needs the guy to pick his successor, right? Like that's what's going to happen in this case, and I'm sure those conversations have been happening for a long time now. You know, I know a lot of people bring up the name Lane Kiffin, and it makes sense for a lot of reasons because he has success there. I just feel like Lane's in a great spot at Ole Miss. I wonder if Bill O'Brien's name's going to get thrown around for similar reasons because he was the offensive coordinator there, and he's coached at both levels of football. And honestly, because a lot of guys probably don't want to take the job directly following Nick Saban. I mean, Jake Crane and I talk about this all the time. Is like, don't be the followed. I be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy, right? You know, I've thought for a long time that Dabo Swinney's going to make sense because, again, college football is unique in a way that these guys can coach at their alma maters. Jim Harbaugh won a national championship at his alma mater. Kirby Smart did it. You see Mario Cristobal back in Miami where he was an All-American. Dabo Swinney played and won a championship there. So that would never surprise me, even though I've talked to a bunch of Alabama fans around the country, and none seem to really want Dabo Swinney to be the head coach that badly. I'm not sure why. Maybe that'll change now that this is a reality. And then another name just here on the fly live is I wonder about Steve Sarkisian. I wonder if he would leave a Texas program that he has so much equity built up in now, and they're joining the SEC. I don't know. But again, I'm just thinking of some guys that have coached and had success and built trust with Nick Saban because he's going to be the one making this decision.
David, I'm going to stake my early claim to Dan Lanning at Oregon is maybe the front runner. But I've mentioned through the years, but I was told by someone with very, very well versed I said keep an eye on D'Amico Ryans with the Houston Texans. I said that back in the summer. Bryant can confirm, and I said it. I said it Scotch with. Let me see how that first year as a head coach goes with the Texans, because Bama has always shown propensity to hiring someone fresh from the pros. They did it with Ray Perkins to replace Coach Bryant straight from the New York Giants. In effect, they did it with Gene Stallings from the Arizona Cardinals, and kind of with Mike Shula, who was more or less a pro assistant coach when he got the head coaching job. But I was told by someone that D'Amico Ryans wants to stay the professional football coaching route, and he probably wouldn't be on the list. But I think right now I'd have to put my first wager on Dan Lanning at Oregon.
There's going to be a lot of talk about Dan Lanning, 100%. D'Amico Ryans, look, again, these guys, and this is the same thing with Jim Harbaugh, whatever decision he makes, these guys have to decide, are they NFL guys or are they college guys? Usually when you pick a lane, you sort of stay in it, right? Like once Nick Saban came back from the Dolphins, it was like, hey, I'm going to be a college head coach moving forward. Jim Harbaugh is one of those few guys that's had success at both levels. And so his name's always been popping up. But, in a day and age where the transfer portal and NIL, and there's just so much movement in college football, guys, I think more and more guys are just going to pick a lane and stay in it. Like Dan Campbell, there was talk about, is he going to be the next Texas A&M head coach? Well,
Great point.
Playoff right now. He was almost the number one seed in the playoff. D'Amico Ryan's sort of the same thing. Is like, okay, does he come back to college one day if things falter with the Texans? But hey, he's got everything moving and grooving right now. So I don't know. Dan Lanning's going to be a name that certainly gets thrown out for sure.
And for Dan Lanning, do you think Alabama is a job that he would take with what he's built at Oregon, Dan Lanning?
I think I think a lot of guys are going to be picking up the phone and hearing out.
It's Alabama.
Yeah, what's going to be said. So, I think that's a job he would take.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's incredible breaking news. But, David, thanks so much.
Well, I think people can tell we didn't tape this segment, did we, David?
We certainly did not.
No, we didn't. And I have to say, it feels good to have a situation like that live, because that's some of the biggest news that could ever break. And I'm happy to be doing this professionally, and happy to be coming on your show every week.
Yeah.
And we want to again thank you for the great dedication you gave to us all year, the information, the fun, and we want to congratulate you again, even on this historic day with the biggest breaking news story of the year, and it will be at the end of the year. What if Belichick tops it tomorrow? But David, we want to congratulate you on your Michigan Wolverines. I know you're proud, and I know you've put a lot into that program, and we don't want anything to kind of cloud that out.
No doubt. No, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And go Blue. And on a day like this, I will add in Roll Tide.
Sure will. We sure will. David, we'll catch up soon, maybe sooner than we thought.
Yes, sir. Anytime, you just text me, guys.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
David, David Cohn with us every week on Wednesday, and it has been a delight. My phone has melted with really with everything.
Yeah.
From a lot of friends in Alabama, and my nephew that spent 4 years there as a student manager, and I think sums it up great. Really, really sad that it's ending, but really glad that it happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've got Alabama friends of mine that are Alabama fans saying, "What is happening?" I mean, can't believe it, but still, I mean, the years of what he built at Alabama is just incredible to look back on.
Unquestioned the greatest ever, and I didn't think I would ever say that over Coach Paul Bear Bryant, and for it to happen there, and for him to end at 297 career wins. Wow. You're going to see 292 out there. It's 297. Yeah. The 5 he had to give back from the first year from stuff that happened under the previous regime's a load of hooey. It was 297 in his historic college football career that spanned Toledo, Michigan State, LSU, and Alabama. He had the head coaching stint at Miami, but that doesn't count the 297. And, I really thought that 323 was very much important and in mind to him. That was the number that Coach Bryant finished with, and that would take about the next 2 years. And this coming October of 2024, he will be 73 years old. So that would be signing up, basically pushing right up to almost a 75th birthday of coaching. And why have to do that when you've accomplished so much? I did know that I don't know if it was the second or third weekend in December. It might have been Heisman Trophy weekend, or maybe even been that next one. I do know there was a big family powwow to discuss the pros and cons, the merits of going forward, and what it was going to take from everybody. His time, and that takes away from granddad time, and that takes away from vacation time. And I do think last summer, that first real big get away from it all, go to Europe vacation, I think he very much enjoyed that and wants to be able to do that even more. I don't think anybody can question it. Even Alabama fans that I know are heartbroken today. I think you got to just say thank you. It was some ride.
Yeah, I mean, the run is incredible, and I don't think there will be any hard feelings to anybody, because it's kind of that don't be sad that it ended, be happy that it happened.
And build another statue. I know he's got one. And I've even said, at Alabama, so many of us college football fans, and I had the real honor for years of serving on its national board of directors at the Paul W. Bryant Museum and Library. Where are they going to put the Saban Museum and Library? Because it needs to go up somewhere on that campus. It just eats, sleeps, lives, breathes, reeks of college footballdom. He's earned that, and now that all the names are going to start flying around, and I think Coach Lane Kiffin's name will be out there. I don't think he will leave, and I love that point David Cohn made about in your lane, kind of having your groove, having things going your way. Dan Campbell recognized that with the Lions, and D'Amico Ryans maybe recognizing that with the Texans. Sark at Texas with the Longhorns. Lane at Ole Miss with what he's got going there, and Dan Lanning it may come down to that for him of I've got it really good at Oregon, and we're real close.
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, where my question came from, because of what he is building and what he has already built at Oregon, and it looks like that team with what they've added in the transfer portal could be a real team next year. And does he want to leave that and the unknown of what this team looks like next year? Do guys hop in the transfer portal after this news? I mean, there's a lot of questions that will have to be answered. But our next segment, we were going to do 12-team seeds for college football playoffs. We got to scrap all of that. I mean,
it ain't that early.
No, it's not that early. We got plenty of time before then. Brett, like you said, this is the story of the year, and it's January 10th. So we're going to be talking more Nick Saban on the other side. So stick with us. Nick Saban talk next on Sportstime.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78, that's Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as as 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995. Financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, serving the official barbecue of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Join the Sportstime crew of Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus this Thursday from 3 to 6 at Sissy's Log Cabin on Poplar across from the Oak Court Mall. Sissy's is celebrating their official grand opening of its newest store on Thursday, January 11th. Grand opening events begin at 9:45 a.m. and an official ribbon cutting takes place at 10 a.m. The Sportstime crew will be there from 3 to 6, so stop by this one-of-a-kind jewelry store. That's this Thursday from 3 to 6 at Sissy's Log Cabin.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. TDOT just moments ago moved that crash in the Midtown area, southbound on 240 right at Lamar. Now it's already heavy coming down through there as it is this time of the afternoon trying to get out of Midtown. It's starting to slow down already over here on 40 East as you come past Sycamore View Road with that steady flow of traffic on 40 East continuing out towards Fayette County. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging online right now at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, if you haven't heard, big changes in college football. Nick Saban, obviously the head coach of Alabama, is retiring. The news broke about 15 minutes ago and has been confirmed all over the place. It is true, Nick Saban will no longer be the head coach of Alabama. And Brett, I'm curious, we were talking on the other side before we got to a break of kind of this decision, and you talked about how you had heard he had met with his family, and these discussions had happened.
And they've been doing that quite often at the end of seasons.
So do you think this was a decision that was already made and he wanted to wait until after all of the championship and all of that before he did it? Or is that too nice of Nick Saban?
I'm just going to guess. I think it was made. I think it was made before bowl prep began and before the Rose Bowl. And I'm joking when I say this. And I texted some people during the Rose Bowl on the second bad snap when he didn't lose his mind. I said he shut it down. He's easing into retirement.
Yeah.
When he didn't go crazy in that good kind of Nick Saban on the sideline going crazy, and he made the point after the game, and he was right. That center was under a lot of pressure with that Michigan D line, pounding on that head all day. It was hard to get that ball back there room surface, and they had issues with that all year. But in his final act as head coach, with a team that I said all year was really, really good, but it was not vintage. Yes. It was not, and now it's hard to be vintage there. It's hard to stand apart from those Barrett Jones teams and Mac Jones team in 2020 and all those wide receivers and all those linemen and all those running backs and all those great players. It's really hard to be vintage there, but it was just a good team. It was gettable all year, but only one got them in the regular season.
That's right.
And then they got Georgia and Kirby Smart in the SEC championship game. It makes me think now that if he had lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game, he probably would have gone kind of full Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant announced his retirement at Alabama 2 weeks to the day before his final game. His last game, of course, was here in Memphis at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium on December 29th, 1982. That press conference, that media availability, and it leaked a little bit the day before, but he met with the press the next day and announced that it would be it on December 15th. Now we'll watch and see exactly how they do it. I think it should be a state holiday. The governor should shut the state down, and he should have the announcement like a acceptance speech at a presidential party convention at Bryant-Denny Stadium with him announcing how he's going to do it. How's he going to want to do it? Is he going to want to do it, rather sedate, as sedate as you can do anything there and with this news? I mean, I don't think he can pull up to, the Malmore facility and just load the box up of stuff and head out. But he's going to retire, and now the speculation will be far and wide of who walks into that job. And it reminds me, Bryant, a lot of those days around when Coach Bryant did retire, and he said, and I'm glad this is not the case, because it certainly appears, and everybody, all signs indicate that Coach Saban in much better health and physical condition than Coach Bryant was, and a little bit older. Yeah. But Coach Bryant said, and we sadly learned he wasn't joking, that I'm going to die in a month not coaching. I'm going to miss it so badly. And the speculation of who would replace him, and it ended up being Ray Perkins. He did not have that big a hand in hand-picking his successor. A lot of people said that he would, but he didn't. Now you have to wonder how much Coach Saban will, if they'll ask him, if Greg Byrne will bring him in for any consultation. I think he's earned. I think this one's pretty good. I think this one would work. I think you want to get near this one.
Yeah, and I think probably should. I mean, I think Nick Saban will have his fingerprints still on this program, even though he's retiring. That's kind of been, we've seen that in college basketball the past couple of years with some of these, legendary college basketball coaches retiring, and you're still seeing them around. But, some places you can tell they still have their fingerprints on it. Some are completely, out of it. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of the approach Alabama takes, especially in terms of hiring their next head coach.
Yeah, and we're hearing from just about everybody, and we want your thoughts at 901-360-8255. I think around the SEC, I don't think it'll be anything with a lot of animus and a lot of vitriol, but hallelujah for fans of other teams that have had to sustain these whippings and year in, year out batterings to them. I can't blame fans for that thought. That was the same thing around Coach Bryant. Now, Coach Bryant wasn't quite still at the peak like Nick Saban was. Nick Saban is going out. I mean, that fastball, I talk about they were good, but it wasn't vintage.
Exactly.
That fastball was still getting a lot of people out last year.
And Brett, that team that was good but not great still was, this close to being in the national championship game.
And if, could have gotten by Michigan, I think would have sized up very well with Washington. We don't know. Washington was a good team. I don't want to trash Washington.
No, not at all.
14-1 is exemplary. It's exceptional. And should be applauded. I don't want to be that guy because wise guys like me thought Alabama had no chance against Georgia. And how much did I really know?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a really good point. I'm seeing a tweet from Pete Thamel, and I don't know if this is really anything, but it says, with no likely internal replacements at Alabama, here's a quick projected target list. This is likely just who he thinks, not what he's probably heard of guys that they're thinking. But his list: Dan Lanning, Kalen DeBoer, Dabo Swinney, James Franklin, Mike Norvell, and Marcus Freeman is Pete Thamel's list.
I think Dan Lanning will be on a lot of lists. That is really smart of him to include Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
And I do think if it got down, I just don't think many will pass on it.
No,
how far are you down? How far are you down the list? I mean, if you're third, you might as well be 80th. Because I don't see two going. No, and all those players coming in, and now with how it is in college sports, I think Alabama will have to move quickly.
Yes,
you want to have Governor Ivey proclaim Coach Nick Saban Day, weeks, months, until next year, whatever she wants to proclaim it. But Greg Burns got to hire a football coach because if he doesn't, we know here comes everybody in college football trying to raid that roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now because of the transfer portal, because their coach is, Nick Saban has retired, that transfer portal is going to open for Alabama players for another 30 days, so guys can enter if they wish. And I had a buddy who's a big Alabama fan, and he texted me and said, "Oh, the transfer portal is about to be crazy." And I basically said the same thing back to him in a text of, "Well, if they move fast, you got to think whoever they go out and hire is going to be one of the top college football coaches in the game right now. There's not going to be a lot of people that turn this job down, so I think they can keep most of the roster intact." But you're right, Brett. They got to move fast before guys start thinking about it and go, "Well, the future's uncertain. Maybe I should hop into the portal and go see what's out there."
And ticket sales for the Western Kentucky game, opening day, August 31st in Tuscaloosa, just went up because it will be historic. It'll be historic for who's not on that sideline for Alabama and whomever will be the next head coach of the Crimson Tide. I will say this about Alabama. Everybody's ever coached at Alabama's won.
You're right about that, Brett.
I mean, Bryant won. Mm-hmm. Perkins had success, had double-digit win season. Gene Stallings won. Bill Curry had double-digit win success. Gene Stallings won a national championship. Mike Dubose won double-digit games and won an SEC championship. And as I love to remind my Tennessee friends, Mike Dubose has won an SEC championship more recently than Tennessee football has. Mike Shula even had a double-digit win season with D'Amico Ryans as his middle linebacker. But nobody had the success there that Coach Nick Saban had.
No, not at all. And a legendary career and a dynasty at Alabama that nobody will ever forget. But I was texting somebody during the last break of, Brett, you kind of warned me about this. This could happen. And
you want to read the text from New Year's Day?
If I can find it, Brett, I will. But I kind of been warned of this could happen, and I thought I was ready for it, but I was not ready for it. I mean, it's shocking to me.
It just don't feel real, man.
No, it doesn't.
It does not feel real.
I knew it would feel this goofy. I knew it would feel this weird. This just thunderbolt that hit us. But I know if you find our text chain from New Year's Day late in that game, unless there's bad language in there, read away.
No, Brett, and I should remind people this was this text came after you told me to put $10 on Michigan when they were trailing in that game, and the odds were very good. The text that came from Brett at 7:36 at night. We could be watching the end for Coach Saban. Soak it in.
Soak it in.
It's incredible.
And when he left the field, he didn't do Steve Spurrier when he left Florida to go to Washington, the NFL team. Yeah. They were in the Orange Bowl, and it was goofy. And that night watching the game, I thought, well, that was weird. What's he doing that far? He kind of made the lap around the field, kind of like Cal Ripken did the night he broke Garrick's streak and was kind of skinning with the fans running around the field and made that lap. Well, that was his goodbye. So I was watching that day to see if Coach Saban would do anything, and now I know he couldn't for a lot of reasons. For one, they move you quickly to the prearranged media availabilities for coaches and stuff at all these bowls now. So the media relations people hustled him to that back area to that. But there was a moment pregame, and it was somebody captured it on Twitter. I think our friend Ryan Fowler in Tuscaloosa captured it on Twitter. He was down on the field, and when Coach Saban, when the bus arrives, and he and his equipment guy, his state troopers, sometimes his media relation guy, they walk down the middle of the field all the way to the end of the field to their locker room, and he had a pretty long embrace with Miss Terry. And I thought, I don't remember him do that. That's not normal.
Yeah.
But and I was looking for stuff,
Sure.
but I thought, okay, Rose Bowl, big
looking
game
for something, yeah.
But I think Kristen, the daughter, and some other people even around, and the hugs were long, the embrace was long, and I thought, well, that was weird.
That was weird.
That might be it. Yeah. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I've been looking for signs for 10 years.
So I mean, a little sign like that, you just throw off, that was nothing. He's just happy.
Now, Brian, I'm taking my victory lap over that text of we could be watching the end.
Yeah.
There are probably people that could find text for me from ever last Alabama game for the last 10 years. This could be the end because everybody's kind of had him out of town, and he stayed in town, and he won big, and he walks away with 297 wins, and he walks away at Alabama. Just his record at Alabama. This is phenomenal. Through I got to get to it. Through 235 games at Alabama.
Okay.
206-29.
Wow, that's incredible.
If you want to compare it to Coach Paul Bear Bryant, after 235 games at Bama. Coach Bryant was 189, 38, and 8. If you changed all 8 ties, he would still trail Nick Saban. Nick Saban finished plus 17 in 235 games at Alabama over Coach Paul Bear Bryant. 206-29. That's not even real.
Incredible. Brett,
that's 7-6 that first year.
Yeah, and Brett, not only one tie in there, 8 ties in there. Love to see that on a record. That's beautiful.
8 ties, and some of them were great games. I promise you,
Brett. You've been telling me about the joys of ties ever since I started working here.
Bryant, 1993, third Saturday in October, one of the best college football games I've ever been to was a tie at Legion Field.
I believe
and David Palmer, just one of the great athletes in the history of the SEC, he scored to make it the tie. And that day, Bama felt like the winner in that game. There was always a feeling of in the tie of no, everybody didn't leave happy in the tie days. But Coach Bryant did. He had 8 ties, and if you flipped every one of those to wins, he still wouldn't have the number of wins after 235 games that Coach Saban had.
Who would have thought waking up this morning that at 4:44 in the afternoon, if you went onto ESPN's homepage, that the top 2 headlines would be Alabama football coach Saban retiring, and then right under that, Carroll out as Seahawks coach after 14 seasons. Didn't see that coming today.
Well, I jokingly kind of scoffed with David Cohn. What if Belichick does it tomorrow? And I can just imagine, as tight as they are, Coach Saban and Coach Belichick having that conversation of, just meet me at Nantucket next fall. Let's play golf and not have to worry about the grind.
Let's spend the fall golfing. I think that sounds like a great plan for both those guys. But shocking news coming out of Alabama that Nick Saban has retired from the head coaching job with the Tide. But let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fivesh, owner of Fivesh Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, It's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. When I talk to people about selling their homes or buying one, my motto is stick to your game plan. I learned this from my friend Coach Terry Tippett. Coach, you didn't go into a game without having a plan, did you?
No, Sheldon. Having a plan was critical to the success of all my teams.
That's right, Coach. Sticking to your game plan helped you win 4 state championships.
That's wrong, Sheldon. It was 6, just like the number of shots you make on a par 3.
Well, Coach, we've played golf together. What advice can you give me about my game?
You probably need to stick to real estate, as you're much better at doing that. Or perhaps bowling.
Great advice about real estate, not bowling. And as I always tell people, if they're thinking of selling their home, talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and let me be one of them. As they often say, when you want the job done, Coach, who should they call?
Sheldon, of course.
You can reach me at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. That's 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that'll make the playoffs electrifying. New customers, listen to this, can bet $5, that's it, on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and then please use the code HERD to get this offer, H-E-R-D. New customers, bet $5, that's it, to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. With the code HERD, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, there's some good big numbers today, and I'm sure there's a lot more that you come up with for Nick Saban after the breaking news that just came out a couple hours ago. I've got a couple, though, today. College basketball big numbers after the night we had last night. My big number, there's a couple big numbers in here, but the one I want to highlight is 1982. That is a year. Last night marked the first time since February 26, 2022, that number 1 and number 2 lost on the same day per CBS Sports Research. I should give credit where credit's due. This from Matt Norlander. He posted this on Twitter last night. Back then, it was Arizona and Gonzaga that got. Tonight, it's Purdue and Houston. Now, here's where my big number comes into play. This is also Nebraska's 4th win over a number 1 team, and the first time it's happened since 1982.
Wow.
It's a long time.
That is it got Johnny and I synced up in
the same time.
Stereo, didn't we?
When I can get a wow from both of y'all in unison, that's what I'm looking for in a big number.
Man, that's amazing.
I'm afraid. So who would have been the star for Nebraska? Wow,
I could try to find it for you, Brett.
That's post Stu Lance, who forever was about the only guy from Nebraska I could name that played, and a couple now. My big number is 876.
Okay.
So if 206 and 29 doesn't grab you in Nick Saban's win-loss record at Alabama, that's what the percentage is. That's what 206 out of 35
good
is.
Lord.
876.
That's incredible.
And he went 7-6 that first year with that team that was left to him by Mike Shula. There were some good players on that team.
Yeah, no, that is incredible. I mean, like I said, Brett, I'm sure we could spend the rest of the day just going through big numbers that have to do with Nick
Great
Saban.
number, Brett.
Thank you, Johnny. And you know, in here locally, there is that feeling. I can't blame fans for this of hallelujah, just so tired, because what he did in that third Saturday of October series, Tennessee beat him one time. He was 16-1 against
them. That is insane. Brett, I think I have an update on Nebraska.
82 Nebraska?
I thought I did. I thought maybe not.
I got nothing.
I don't know. Let's see. Maybe now I do. Let's see.
Tyronn Lue played at Nebraska, didn't he?
I think so. Missouri was the team they beat in 1982.
So I have some of Norm's good teams.
A 67-51 victory for Nebraska. And let's see if we can find who was the star of this team. Does a Jack Moore ring any bells? Jack Moore, a 5'9" guard averaging 13 points a game. How about that?
I know a great Memphian named Jack Moore that's a big Alabama fan. I know he's sad today, but I don't know Jack Moore at Nebraska.
No, Jack Moore at Nebraska. That's about all I got. Drafted by the Kansas City Kings in the 9th round.
They kept it. Well, in that stretch, Kansas City, just a few years before that, was the Kansas City Omaha Kings.
Really?
Playing in two different towns.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I used to always tell Drew Barrett when he would laugh about some of those old nuggets. Okay, we didn't get everything right back in the day.
Well, it makes for a great nugget. Brett, I have one more big number.
Please do.
College basketball. 7 is my second big number. Last night, Auburn and Texas A&M played each other. I really like this Auburn team. But after their victory last night, Auburn basketball now has 7 different players this season with at least 100 points, 20 assists, and 20 rebounds this season. The only other D1 team over the past 25 seasons to have at least 7 such players through 15 games was Georgetown in the 2017-2018 season. They also had 7 players. This Auburn team really is fun to watch. They've now made their way into the top 25.
That building, I said it
really
this morning with Dave, for all the things, going to a Final Four. And bear in mind, the last time the SEC had a representative at the Final Four was 2019 in Coach Bruce Pearl's team. Wow. I mean, that's some drought.
It's hard to believe.
For a league that takes it very serious and spends a lot of money on it and spends a lot on arenas. And for him to establish the toughest place to play in the SEC is on campus at Auburn.
Yeah, it really is impressive. The job he's done over there has really been fun to watch. But I thought some good big numbers from both of us today. Maybe Johnny tomorrow will just spend all 3 hours just doing Nick Saban big numbers.
I like it, man.
I like that. I think
that'd be amazing.
We'll text all our guests tonight.
Tribute.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll text all our guests tonight. Let's see, tomorrow's Thursday, so 3 guests tomorrow. We'll text all of them and say bring a Nick Saban big number tomorrow, and we'll just the entire show be Nick Saban.
I love it. Fired up already.
Well, let's get to a break and wrap up this hour. When we come back, we're talking college basketball with Kevin Sweeney.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. 2 final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope, and they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Join the Sportstime crew of Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus this Thursday from 3 to 6 at Sissy's Log Cabin on Poplar across from the Oak Court Mall. Sissy's is celebrating their official grand opening of its newest store on Thursday, January 11th. Grand opening events begin at 9:45 a.m. and an official ribbon cutting takes place at 10 a.m. The Sportstime crew will be there from 3 to 6, so stop by this one-of-a-kind jewelry store. That's this Thursday from 3 to 6 at Sissy's Log Cabin. Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Once again, here are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
If I go crazy, then will you still call me Superman? If I'm alive, and well, will you be there?
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk college basketball, Kevin Sweeney. You can follow him on Twitter at CBB_Central. Also over at Sports Illustrated. He joins us every single week to talk college basketball. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to today, a lot going on in the college basketball world. But I do want to start off with the Memphis Tigers. We've talked a lot about this team after the back-to-back-to-back games, wins against top 25 programs. They've started off AAC play with back-to-back three-point wins over Tulsa and SMU. Seeing this team over the last week, what have you thought of their play as of late?
I mean, I think the best word I would use to describe it so far has been kind of sleepy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just has not been the same level of engagement as we saw from this team earlier in the season. And I don't know what to diagnose that. I don't know if that's a complacency. I don't know if that's Penny's motivation early in the season, pushing them, understanding the importance for, NCAA tournament considerations and whatnot to get some of those big wins. But, I've seen a team that just hasn't had quite the same level of hunger and the same level of energy that they had earlier in the season. Obviously, there's just, shooting splits and things like that can, make a big difference. They didn't shoot particularly well against SMU. I think SMU is a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
But, really 4 straight games, in my opinion, dating back to the Vanderbilt game, where I don't think Memphis has played their best basketball. And it's important, obviously, given the weakness of the AAC to, get some style points here along the way. And they haven't really done that so far. But I do think, at least fortunately on their end, the SMU win, I think, will age pretty nicely. It's a good basketball team.
All right, Kevin, I'll scotch this with I'm mostly a homer about the Tigers, and I'm trying to find half full here, and I may be making excuses. So here I go. If you're going to have these kind of grumbles, if you're going to have this 4-game stretch that you very accurately and correctly point out, isn't this a good time to do it? Sort some things out at this time of year, because you want to, you don't want this coming late February or even early March. And it's why I've defended these last 2 wins, Austin P, whatever, and even to Vandy as it got a little bit scary, because Vandy's not good. But these last 2 on the road, and when you win not playing your A game, I kind of like that. Is that excuse making?
No, I mean, look, I think every coach would tell you they'd rather learn lessons from wins than losses, right? And I think that this team is probably learning something from these games. I also think, it's really hard to go on the road in college basketball. We talk about it every week, but I mean, you look last night, number 1, Purdue goes down to Nebraska. Number 2, Houston goes down to Iowa State. I mean, you work your way around the landscape. I mean, it is real darn hard to win those road games. It doesn't matter if you're playing Tulsa. Doesn't really, these conference road trips will be challenges for Memphis. Memphis will get the best shot of Wichita State over the weekend. They will get the best shot of Tulane next weekend, right? Like, they will lose a game or 2 like that, and that's just the inevitable aspect of league play. I think the bigger thing for me is, can they get back to the level that they were playing at, earlier this season? And I think they can, because I haven't seen anything, massively shift in terms of how they're playing. I just think there isn't maybe quite the same level of intensity or focus as there was earlier in the year.
We got the news, that game before the game Sunday. We all kind of knew it, but that Caleb Mills will be out for the remainder of the season for the Tigers. How much does that impact this team, and do you think that changes any of kind of the hopes of this Tiger team?
I don't think it's huge in terms of the upside of this group. I think it matters, and that one of the things that I loved about this Memphis group was felt like different guys could beat you on different nights, right? Some days it's going to be David Jones. Some days it's going to be Quinterly. Sometimes they can maybe work it inside, especially now that Tomlin has emerged and is playing pretty well. I think you felt like Caleb Mills was another guy who could win you a ball game. His ability to make shots, ability to create off the bounce, and to lose him for the year hurts. Obviously, I think Jalen Young's going to have to step up and play a little better, play a little more consistently. I think that's key for them, and naturally you're going to tighten your rotations up a little bit in league play. That's just the nature of it. But certainly fortunate now to look back to bring in Tomlin, given that basically two potential starters in Mills and Jordan Brown have seemingly fallen off the face of the earth here in the last month.
Kevin, tying in the biggest story of the year, the announcement of Nick Saban retiring, I'm going to tie it to your sport that you cover so well. What are some things that young John Shire has done very well in his year plus, into his second year, replacing the equivalent of Nick Saban in the college basketball world, replacing Mike Krzyzewski? And what are some things that you would warn whoever that's going to be the next Alabama coach, maybe not do some of the things that John Shire has done in his infancy stage of head coach at Duke, replacing Mike K?
Yeah, look, I think the thing that Shire has done well, and he's fortunate in the regard that he was internal and was Duke basketball just the same way that Coach K was, and I don't think the next Alabama coach will be. But I think he's navigated kind of some of the institutional stuff really well. Like, he hasn't changed Duke's identity. He hasn't tried to be something else and tried to leave his stamp on Duke. He's said, here, we have the best ground, best foundation of anyone in the sport. Let's build on it. Let's use it to recruit. And let's modernize as we have to, but we don't have to rewrite how we operate. But he's also been independent enough to hire staff that come from outside the Duke family. Over the summer, the assistant that he hired was Emmanuel Tildy from Oklahoma, the guy he knew from Chicago. Last year, he hired Jay Lucas from Kentucky. So it hasn't just been let's surround ourselves with guys from the family. So I think it's a balance. I think it's something that whoever takes over for Saban will have to navigate as well. Is how do you maintain the elements of that program that are so strong, while also putting your own stamp on it in your own way, bringing in the right people around you. I think that's a big challenge. I think the one thing that Alabama football will deal with, this is probably more like Kentucky basketball than it is Duke basketball, is just kind of the kangaroo court around it, right? I mean, just so many people involved, so many hands in the cookie jar. How do you navigate all of those rooms? It's so challenging. Saban did it expertly, and I think that would be the thing I would be doing curious about for a successor, is how does they handle the external factors.
Kevin, you knocked that answer just plumb out of the park. Wow, what a great answer, and you're so right with all the moving parts. I mean, it's not just a program, it's not just an organization like Duke basketball. Man, it's almost its own galaxy. Better than the Shire comparison. What would you tell Greg Byrne, the AD, that maybe the Duke AD learned?
I think that I think to me the big trend I've seen in college basketball is like these big jobs have been filled by guys with very little experience, and part of that's just not a lot of coaches who are willing to move, and part of that is being so tied to handing the job down to whoever is waiting in the wings. And I think Greg Byrne has a great opportunity, because there isn't a clear internal candidate, to go out and get a proven elite coach, right? And I don't know who that will be. Maybe it's Dan Lanning at Oregon. Maybe it's Dabo. Maybe it's, you work your way down the list. I mean, I'm not the expert there. But I think we'll look back on this period.
You're pretty good. Yeah. You're pretty good, Kevin.
I watch a lot of ball. Yeah. But I think we'll look back on this period of college basketball and say there was a missed opportunity for these programs to hire some of the elite coaches in the sport. Yeah. Carolina in particular, when they hired Hubert Davis, there was an opportunity to go get some really big names they didn't choose to. Hubert's doing a nice job, but I do think at the end of the day, like I want the best coach possible. I don't want the guy who's tied to the place.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, you mentioned Purdue and their loss last night at Nebraska. When you look at both of these teams, is it concerning to you? Did anything you saw last night concern you about Purdue? And then on the other side, Nebraska, I've enjoyed watching this team this season. When you watch them play, does this look like a tournament team to you?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, they were tremendous yesterday. They beat Purdue. Purdue did not beat themselves. And look, I think it wasn't concerning because it wasn't the same old Purdue recipe, right? Like usually when I think about Purdue getting beat, it's their guards turn the ball over, they shoot the ball poorly. That's not really what happened. I mean, this is the first time Purdue has lost when making 10 or more threes since the Virginia game in the Elite Eight in 2019. It's been a while. I mean, what Nebraska did at the rim defensively on Edey is something I haven't really seen, and I don't think it's replicable because if it was, we would have seen someone do it before. I mean, it was a monster performance by Rick Mast, their transfer big man from Bradley. He's done an amazing job, and then obviously Nebraska made a ton of shots, right? And that's what you're going to have to do to beat Purdue, but they made some tough threes. I think 14 for 23 overall in the game from deep. Like, you're not going to replicate that easily, but what a performance for them, and certainly sets them up well to be a tournament team.
Kevin Sweeney, our guest from College Basketball Central and from Sports Illustrated. He's with us every Wednesday. At this time, all the way through one shining moment. We hear so much about the portal and portal king in college football and in college basketball. Who do you think has been the portal king in college basketball?
I think in terms of kind of leading the way on how to build teams in the portal would be Eric Musselman at Arkansas. And,
I thought so,
dating
too.
Back to his time at Nevada. I will say the guy who I think has been the most efficient in the portal is Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. They have done an amazing job of finding under-the-radar guards, developing them into stars, and they finally have a team this year that I think will not only make the tournament, but potentially make some noise. They're very deep, very talented.
And the portal the door swings both directions, and sometimes it can be real good and real bad. Do you think this year has been the clunker for Eric Musselman?
Yeah, I think it's not just about the portal. I think their struggles. I think Arkansas, at the end of the day, it's about building teams, right? High school kids, transfers, grad transfers, right? Like junior college. You have to build balanced groups, and I think Arkansas has done a good job the last couple of years of having a real identity, and I don't think this group does. And I think that's probably just some poor roster building decisions. They went, their guards are small, but they don't have great point guard play. They've not shot the ball particularly well. Like percentage-wise, they're shooting it well, but they don't have a lot of threats from beyond the arc. They take very few threes, and because they're smaller, they're not defending at the same level. So yeah, I think this is probably Muss's worst Arkansas team at this point. But I mean, it's just about every year around this time we start saying, are we concerned with Eric Musselman? Here they are. They're 7-5 or wherever they are usually, and Muss has found a way to turn every one of them around. So I'm not quite writing off the Razorbacks just yet.
And then he always finds a way to get them back. I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Greg Barnes got to hire a football coach in the next 3 or 4 days at Alabama. I say at the end of this year, Nate Oates takes the Michigan job.
I've heard crazier. His buyout is very big. It will be hard to pull him, but coming back home to the state of Michigan has always been talked about with Nate, and he will be a name that people want. I will say he is very happy at Alabama. He loves that place. He thinks you can win there. He loves being at a quote-unquote championship school. Certainly Michigan would qualify now after that football title over just earlier this week. But I think it'll be hard to pull Nate, but it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, and that football program is almost like they had to sacrifice the basketball program to go out and win the national championship in football. We're talking to Kevin Sweeney. He joins us every single week to talk college basketball from Sports Illustrated and CBB Central. So we talked about Purdue, the number 1 team. They lost last night in Nebraska. Also Houston, the number 2 team in the country, lost on the road to Iowa State. And for Houston, it's going to be very different for them. They really haven't experienced what they're about to experience over these next 2 months in conference play. Now that they're in the Big 12, they've got to go to TCU, a team that had Kansas on the ropes this past weekend for their next game. And then it really doesn't get easy after that. I think Texas Tech at home after that, a team that just beat Texas on the road. So it's not going to be easy for them. Do you see Houston maybe not struggling, but continuing to kind of look up and being in tough situations in this new conference? Or do you think Kelvin Sampson and his team will bounce back after a loss like that?
I think they'll bounce back. I mean, I thought they did a great job yesterday. I mean, got punched in the mouth, down 14-0 early on the road. Mm-hmm. You're like, here we go. This is the Big 12. And they battled back, tied the game, were in it in the final minute. And Iowa State made a really tough shot by Milan Momcilovic, and that set them up to get a signature win. I think this team has a ton of competitiveness. They certainly are a Kelvin Sampson team in that way. It's funny, at preseason media day at Big 12, Kelvin Sampson said, I walk into this place, I see everybody, and it's like being in a dog park. Everybody sizes each other up, and there's no Shih Tzus in this league. Like it's Rottweilers and big dogs. And I think
my nephew's had a Shih Tzu that I just love. You made me laugh, Kevin. Here's a little bitty lap dog.
It really is funny. But I mean, look, I think Kelvin's going to have them ready to go against TCU. I think they'll find a way to win that game, and I think they'll be right at the top of the league. I don't know that, I think Kansas will be certainly right there, maybe Baylor as well, but I think Houston's going to compete to win this championship in year one.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, last year, I may have got a little ahead of myself on this, but I was really trying to extol just the great job that Kelvin Sampson has done over a coaching career. And now with everything going on around college sports, was there anything more stupid than his career almost being wrecked over not inappropriate texting, but texting during a dead period? It wasn't anything sexual, any invective, and it was worse than some of the stuff that's directed at Harbaugh during COVID. But so last year, I know I got a little ahead of myself saying that they're really better now than during Phi Slamma Jamma. I'm going to redo that this year. I'm going to say it again. I think this stretch of Houston basketball, now I know they haven't been to back-to-back finals. I know they don't have a player like Akeem or even Clyde Drexler. And I know they don't have a fancy nickname, but this is more sustainable and better than anything Guy V ever did.
I agree on the sustainability aspect 1,000%. I mean, I don't think it has been talked about enough how consistently great that they have been, despite pretty much every year losing huge pieces. Yeah. Right? I mean, you think back all the way to like Nate Hinton and Rob Gray, and guys who really started
I love
that.
Rob Gray.
But I mean, they've had tremendous guards every year, and they've lost those guards to the pros or to the portals, whatever. I mean, Caleb Mills, even an example of that, and they have not missed a beat. It is such a testament to Kelvin, and I think it's certainly in the top 5 programs here of the last 7 to 8 years. What he has accomplished at Houston, and certainly a championship would be the crowning jewel, but helping that entire athletic department elevate into the Big 12. I mean, certainly football plays a huge role in that, but I think the job he has done and bringing them to a Final Four might have been the thing that pushed them over the top over someone like an SMU, changed the direction of the institution. He did a tremendous job.
Yeah. Another new team in the Big 12 this season, BYU, that kind of became the advanced analytic darling of the year, so high in KenPom and was really blowing teams out in non-conference play. But now they're 0-2 in conference play with losses against Cincinnati and Baylor. And now they've got Iowa State, at Texas Tech, and Houston in their next 4 games. I think UCF in there as well. But you said earlier this season that you didn't really buy into this BYU team and thought that, it's going to get way tougher when we get to conference play. Do you think we see this team kind of fall back down to earth in a month or so after a month in conference?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, I think they're still a potential NCAA tournament team. But I think when they were playing teams that were comparable to them physically, they could just out-execute them. And they're so skilled offensively. They have shooting everywhere. Their big men can really pass. They run beautiful offense. I mean, Mark Pope is one of the great offensive minds in college basketball right now, in my opinion. But all of a sudden, you match up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got huge bigs. I mean, Aziz Bandago and Victor Locken, 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot, long, athletic, can block shots. And it really just took them out of what they do offensively. And I think that's going to be the problem a lot of times in the Big 12. So, can they shoot themselves into enough games to win and get to the NCAA tournament? I think they probably can. Certainly built themselves a nice resume in the non-conference with the metrics and the way that they've dominated games. But it's tougher sledding in the Big 12 when the dudes come out. And then there's a lot of athletes, a lot of talent in this league. The BYU, they will have trouble matching.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Kevin. You had a story earlier today in Sports Illustrated about this UCLA team that has really struggled so far through the season. And when you look at this Pac-12, I mean, on one end, you've got UCLA, you've got USC, teams that are really struggling, big name teams that are really struggling this year. But on the other end, you've got a team like Arizona that could have Final Four potential. Where would you rank this Big 12 among the other power conferences? And then when you look at this UCLA team, I know you wrote about it earlier, what has been the big issue for Mick Cronin this year?
Yeah, UCLA went super young. Part of that was NIL related. Part of that was, I think, Mick Cronin's belief that if he recruited a little bit more overseas and got European kids, they'd be a little bit more polished, a little more ready to play. He's had some struggles with one-and-done type freshmen, but he felt like if he brought in some international kids, they'd be a bit more suited to his style. And so far, it's just been really touch and go. Defensively, I think all those guys have really struggled. That's certainly very important to Mick Cronin. They really struggled to score because they just don't have guys who've been, in a lot of big games, not used to the physicality. And there's just been a bigger learning curve than I think they expected. They're behind on NIL. They need more of that to go compete in the portal. Mick, I think, used the analogy that they tried to sign guys, but they're the Cincinnati Reds and the Los Angeles Dodgers usually get the players, which I think at UCLA kind of falls a little flat. But at the end of the day, if the money's not there, the money's not there, and they have to find a way to fix it. As far as the Pac-12 as a whole, I think it's probably near the bottom rung of the power conference leagues. The Big Ten and the ACC are probably neck and neck. I think Arizona obviously at the top helps, and the hope would be that Colorado, Utah, seems like that continue to emerge. And I think Oregon's playing really well. Jackson Shelstad, their freshman point guard, one of the more fun players to watch in the country.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend.
It is going to be fun. It's been fun already, Kevin. This is going to be a blockbuster year.
It really is.
Awesome, man. Absolutely terrific. I cannot wait for the next 8 or so weeks till Selection Sunday. It goes by quick.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to come and go really, really fast. But, Kevin, as always, thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, Kevin.
You got it. Kevin Sweeney with us talking college basketball. And there's a torrent of other news out there, notwithstanding the big news of Coach Nick Saban's retirement. There's local Grizzlies news. There's Ole Miss football commitment news. There's a lot of news that we'll get to, but I want to tell you about Jim's Place Grill. Tonight would be a good night to go out there and just hang and take in all the scuttlebutt that's going on and enjoy the night in sports. If you want to watch the Tigers there, you can, and enjoy a great place to hang out with friends. Over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of great celebrations, family time, and lasting memories, and we're going to make a lot more this year at Jim's Place Grill. The Terrace family, with their touch for our community, their love for our community, with recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown to now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Online at jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the E in grill. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see and feel the difference. Lunch hours, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours, Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Since 1921, a Memphis landmark. Values, hard work, and a dedication to their diners that's really unsurpassed. The Terrace family's created a memorable dining experience. The lunch menu, the staples like the souffle ma, the crab cakes, the shrimp cocktail, and all those salad dressings, all homemade. And at dinner time, the soups, the seafood, the calamari, and the steaks that have made Jim's Place famous. The ribeyes, the fillets, and the strips. Fantastic bar area to enjoy, all at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good night of college basketball tonight, especially later in the night. A lot of games that I think people will want to watch happening later, just kind of looking. Arkansas, Georgia, 8 o'clock. Florida, Ole Miss, 8 o'clock. Washington State, USC. Bronny James still playing, 9:30. And then 10 o'clock, another big, important Pac-12 game. So it's a good night in college basketball tonight.
And Brian, even the broadside I had yesterday on the front office, I did say a week or so ago that this Vince Williams move is one that they get to count as a big one. And now you see the deal that he just signed, and it's earned. And he went out there and he did it the oldest of old-fashioned way.
Yeah, no, a huge deal, and I want to get right back to that to start what's trending, because I think that is a huge move for this Grizzlies team, and I'm really, really happy to see it. But before we get to our break and before we come back and talk about what the Grizzlies did today, kind of being overshadowed by the big retirement of Nick Saban, I got to tell you about Hewlett and Dunn. Hewlett Dunn, boot and jean on the historic square in Collierville since 1961. Charles Hall, he started working there in his teens, and now with his wife Laura, they own the place, known for all the boots, but also clothing, accessories, and a cap for any team in any season. They've got Western wear, but also a ton of boots, work boots, safety toe, soft toe, rubber boots for every single occasion at Hewlett and Dunn. And from head to toe, they've got you covered with every brand imaginable: Ariat, Dan Post, Anderson Bean, whether for men or women, and they've got you covered when it comes to clothing, whether it be jeans, pants, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and they've also got the best duck head collection you'll find. Charles and Laura Hall invite you to 111 North Center Street on the square in Collierville, or to their website, hewlettdunn.com. They're also the one-stop shop for all sorts of accessories, hats, sunglasses, boot care products in every area, team snapback, or cool hat you can think of. Whether it's the Tigers, Mississippi State, UT, Ole Miss, or the Razorbacks, they've got it. And for travel, the bag selection is top-notch. HewlettDunn.com, but please head out to Collierville, give them a visit, and say hello at 111 North Center Street on the square out in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn. Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, the Grizzlies have made some moves. We'll talk about that during What's Trending.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Yo, Mark, long time no see. You still down at Dyer's?
Man, I'm not down at Dyer's. I'm out at Collierville Historic Town Square.
When'd you move out there?
We've been out there for about 13 years. We've got the shops, the park, we got the train the kids like to play on.
You still cooking those burgers the old-fashioned way?
Man, we're still flattening out those hamburger balls on a slab of marble and skillet frying them the old-fashioned way like they've been doing for 100 years.
Dude, you still have those onion rings.
Man, they're fantastic. Hand-breaded, served up just right.
I loved those milkshakes. Please tell me you're still doing those.
Man, we are hand-dipping those shakes, putting them in the old glass in the shake tin, served the old-fashioned way.
You got any new items out there I need to know about?
We're just doing a lot of gourmet sandwiches. We've got farm-raised catfish straight out of the Delta. We've got some hot tamales from Pasquale's Tamales out of Helena, Arkansas.
Man, are they served in the husk?
What those guys like to say, they're so good, you'll suck the shuck.
Go see my buddy Mark at Dyer's Cafe in Collierville's historic town square.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast. With a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, 225 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Don't miss your Grizzlies this Friday at 7 p.m. when they host the Los Angeles Clippers, presented by Travel Nurses. Arrive early. First 5,000 will receive a Jaren Jackson Jr. growth chart. Get ready for a Western Conference showdown and secure your tickets today by visiting Grizzlies.com.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Sports 56 Traffic.
Good afternoon. Finishing up the paperwork on a wreck that's been out here for a while in the Midtown area on 240 southbound at Lamar. Again, it has been slowing down traffic for quite a while as traffic increases on 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385. THP's wrapping up that crash in Fayette County on the interstate. It's 40 westbound around the 33-mile marker. 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging online at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, it's been a very busy day today in the sports world, from the retirements to the moving on of a coach to now the Memphis Grizzlies making a couple of moves that go hand in hand with each other. It was reported about an hour ago that the Grizzlies were waiving Bismack Biyombo, the center that they added after the injury to Steven Adams. And they did it for a reason. They didn't just do it to get rid of him. They did it because they have now signed to a 3-year deal, $7.9 million guaranteed contract, Vince Williams Jr., who has been on a 2-way contract but has been getting so many minutes with the Grizzlies. They were going to have to make a decision at some point. They've made it today. Vince Williams now full-time with the Grizzlies. And Brett, you said it before we got to a break, but the way he's been playing, this contract was very much deserved.
He earned it, and the front office, I applaud them on this move. A really good move. And look, Bismack Biyombo has served some purpose, and I think they're going to be out there dealing for something else. And they're, especially with the injury exception, they're now going to get because of Ja Morant. And I think that money, just that would pay for that. But they're dealing, and this is a future move. A lot of the Grizzlies' moves now, the rest of this year, will be. Okay, so this year has been what it's been. Yeah. Well, you don't just quit, right? And you got plenty of good pieces for the future. The big three: Jaren Jackson, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and want to build around that and try to learn and grow from this year's real heartache.
Yeah, and I think when you've got a young guy like Vince Williams that's on the 2-way, you kind of heard some people talking about him last year of, hey, this guy that came from VCU down in South Haven, he's a good player. He's doing a lot of really good things. And then, this year, just because of all the injuries, you have to turn to him. You really don't have any other option. And you turn to him, he comes in, and not only is he knocking down shots, but he's going up. And we talked to DeMichael about this earlier this week. He's going up against the best players in the NBA. He's going up against Kevin Durant. He's going up against Luka Doncic. He's going up against Kyrie Irving. He's going up against some of the best scorers in the league. And those guys are coming out and saying, this guy's good. This guy defensively is one of the best young defenders in the league, and he's giving you stuff on the offensive end. So it just made a ton of sense, and I think this is a guy that is going to be a big part of this franchise for many years.
Yeah, there's a lot of moves being made today. That's a great one for the Grizzlies. And Logan Diggs from LSU, who had been at Notre Dame, then LSU is now in the portal and headed to Ole Miss. And he's got to get healthy, but when he's healthy, he's a big-time back. He only went over 100 yards twice or 3 times, maybe once against an FCS opponent. I know he did against Ole Miss, and I know he did against mid-season for LSU. I can't remember the team, but he did it. But then he was hurt down the stretch of the year. He's got to get well, and that's going to be part of the piece of the puzzle to try to replace Quinshon Judkins, who is now at The Ohio State University, and he's going to make them a great player.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And for Logan Diggs, I mean, that is I think a massive pickup.
3 times over 100 last year. I'm sorry, I can't remember
I'm looking it up.
The other one.
Let's see.
Kind of mid-season. Yeah. He rolled against Ole Miss. Their whole offense did that night, and he had one early because I had that in my notes for pregame, but I forget now.
No, Brett, you're absolutely right. Grambling, he had 115 yards. Ole Miss, he had 101 yards, and then Missouri. He had 134.
Up at Missouri. And LSU won that game.
Sure did.
They tacked one on late to win by double digits. But That and the loss to Ole Miss was probably the best LSU played all year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And so, no, I think that's a huge pickup. You're right. Dealt with those injuries, and you got to get him healthy, but could be a massive addition for this team.
I'm being told by people that I think that I can trust in the know that they're going to move really fast. I don't think anybody's surprised by that at Alabama, that Greg Byrne will probably lock in and have a coach named. I don't know how big a pomp, circumstance, pep rally, whatever, but by the weekend, by Saturday, to start locking down players because everybody knows the whole college football world will be circling.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, the just names coming out and people already saying, this is who they should go after. This is number one. This is candidate. I think, they probably, this wasn't news to them, I don't think. And so I'm sure they've known about this and have been prepared for it and are prepared to be able to move fast.
Yeah, you got to have that list. This is going to drive me crazy. Okay. I'm seeing too many people saying 292 career wins. It's 297.
Brett, you get used to it. You're going to.
Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. I know had to do that to the goofball NCAA that he didn't have anything to do that. He's won 297 games.
Yeah, no, you're right about that, but you're going to see it a lot. Get ready, Brett. I mean, get all that frustration out now because and
it makes me mad because I'm afraid somebody guy on the radio thinks he knows everything.
Oh, yeah.
Said 297.
He's
First of all, I don't think I know everything, and second of all, it's 297.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. Whatever NCAA, but no, I mean, Brett, a busy day. We talk about days being
good for
fast.
whoever Hayes Fawcett is. He's got it up right. 297. Way to go, Hayes Fawcett.
Yeah, we love that.
And I wish Tiger basketball would hang the Final Four banner tonight. Up yours, NCAA.
Well, Brett, I'm glad you brought that up because I think the fact that the Tigers are playing a game tonight against UTSA has been a bit overshadowed, you could say, because of all of the news coming out
19.5 point favorite didn't help matters, and I'm glad you said that. That jogged my old brain.
You got to do Tiger Bankroll.
To get to Tiger Bankroll. Texas San Antonio. I remember going to a Memphis Texas San Antonio game, I think at the Pyramid, but the first time I ever saw Texas San Antonio, I think I was a freshman at Fayetteville and went to see them play because they had on their team George Gervin's little brother.
Really?
George Gervin was the Iceman.
Yeah.
And his little brother, you know what his nickname was?
I don't know.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube, that's great. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
The Iceman and Ice Cube.
And Arkansas blasted them that night after playing not so good in early part of the game, but then won big. I think that was December of '82. Might have been '83.
Yeah. Wow.
Don't hold me to it.
No, I won't hold you to it.
So tonight, Johnny, pick and cash.
Man, after a lot of consideration, man.
This isn't a commitment. I mean,
hey, out of all this consideration, man,
Johnny's gonna do a hat dance here.
Pick up the UTSA hat.
I got UTSA for $40.
Wow, so you're taking UTSA plus the 19.5.
I got UTSA.
Wow.
Brian?
Wow. Brett, I've been very much up in the air on this one. It's such a big number. It's so hard. I mean, do you lose focus late in the game when you're up by 15? We saw it earlier this season, Brett, against a team like Jackson State, where that line was about, 21.5. And the Tigers could have very easily gotten past there, but they took that foot off the gas.
Right around it all night.
All night. And Jackson State gets that back.
It's going to be like that tonight.
I think it is. But Brett, I'll be honest, over these last handful of games, even Austin Peay, I think UTSA is a worse team than any team that the Tigers have struggled against, any team the Tigers have seen, maybe since those early season games, but certainly since they played those 3 top 25 opponents. So I'm going to go with the Tigers here. I'll take them minus the 19.5. I think it's going to be close, but I do think this Tiger team can win by the 20, and so I'll take them. Johnny, how much did you put on it?
I put 40.
I'll raise you 10 and I'll get 50.
Okay.
50 bones on the Tigers.
I don't love it, but I'll take it.
Laying the 19.5. Brian, your synopsis is so good, I can't top it. Johnny, you laid it out very well. I just disagree with the team. I'm on the same side as Brian. So Johnny goes Texas San Antonio for 40, taking the 19.5. Bryant lays the 19.5, and he's putting 50 on the line tonight. That would take Bryant back to 800. Always good to be at round numbers.
Slow. It's a slow
race
build, Brett. It's a slow build.
It is a slow dig back. I'm going to take the Memphis Tigers. I'm going to lay the 19.5, and with my 1,400. Playing the long game, $20.
Man, I like it. I like it.
Johnny,
I knew it. See, in my head, I said he either gonna say 35. He raised it lower.
Well, Johnny, here's the thing. It's either he's gonna put $10 on a game, or he's gonna put.
I don't see Brett doing that. I don't see him doing that.
Oh, I'm going to play it safe on some of these nights.
Oh, dang.
I think this is a good night to play it safe. But
Johnny, after the hammering I took last year, Bryant just took us outside behind the woodshed.
It was
last
unbelievable
year.
last year. I cannot replicate what.
I mean, he wore us out and made us
Johnny,
like it.
He had the high hand.
I think I'm already worse this year than I was all of last season. I mean, it was a hot streak.
You are, because that was so prolific. I mean, it'd just be hard to do again. That wasn't one can of whoop. It was 2 cans Brian opened up last year.
Yes. No.
Okay.
It was a good season. We're trying to bounce back. Maybe the conference slate can be a little better than us. But Brett, I was telling you, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I like to look at Kim Palm. I like to look at a couple things, not to make my whole decision, but just to kind of help me a little bit, make sure I'm kind of in the right area. And all season long, these lines have been spot on what a lot of people think these games will be. And so it's been really hard to pick these games. But I think the Tigers should make it look easy tonight. I don't think they should have any problem. And Brett, we've been talking about what some of these previous games have been for the Tigers. And I think Penny Hardaway has made it very clear to this team that the way they've been playing these last games is not what he wants to see from his team, and I think we could see a very different look, especially on the offensive end from this Tiger team tonight.
I've loved the seriousness that he's taken. Yeah. He doesn't want to mess around, and I go back to with Kevin Sweeney, me talking about, and I'm trying to find kind of the happy bridge. If you're going to have this law, this is the time to do it.
Right.
And the roster has changed quite a bit over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks with everything, with the addition and with some subtraction. Right. Brian, I was fortunate just with being of age to live through the change from Coach Bryant to Ray Perkins and his retirement, his last game here at the Liberty Bowl, December 29th, 1982, one of the nights of my life with the people that I went to the game with and that history we saw on the field right here in Memphis. And now I'm going to get to see it for Coach Nick Saban. But unlike with the Bear, there was no Twitter X machine then. The Twitter X machine has already been unbelievable, and you're going to see this, and it may be the case. I think kind of first swing at it's going to be Dan Lanning. If it is, I think Alabama can rightly go out there and say the only person we ever wanted was right here. Sure. The fans are going to say that. If it got down to me, mine's the only guy we really wanted. That was it. I mean, if it got down to the coach at Glendale Tech, that's what they're going to say. That's the only guy we wanted, and we know in the coaching search, really only one offer gets made, and it's the one that gets accepted.
Yeah, that's right.
And I just can't see 2 or 3 people taking a pass at it. But I do like, and I'm not quite sure yet how to correctly pronounce his name, but the defensive end that's transferring to Ole Miss from Florida, and he may be a first-round draft pick spring of 2025, Prince Umanamilan. Is that how you do you know?
It's a good try. I mean, I've heard it so many different ways.
He had a good tweet. You're kind of seeing this in the Ole Miss world. You're seeing it in the Texas world. He tweeted out, "Don't get any ideas, Kiff."
That's great. That is so good. Yeah, I mean, Look, I've already had people text me of, you think Lane Kiffin's going to go to Alabama? You think Kiffin to Bama? I don't know. I mean,
I don't. I think he's so happy personally and professionally at Ole Miss. That's just my opinion, but I think he can accomplish a lot at Ole Miss. Now, when I talk about coaching seniority, Brian, it was something for me to get out my little book, that I keep at the ready and cross through Nick Saban.
Oh man.
And you know who that makes the number one in seniority in SEC right now?
In the SEC right now, I do not know.
Mark Stoops.
Wow. Mark Stoops.
Kirby Smart second. Lane Kiffin third.
Another shocker, Brett. I mean, Lane
that's a
Kiffin
big
being
shocker.
third. That's
Sam
crazy.
Pittman fourth.
Sam Pittman fourth is another surprise. Feels like these
Mark
guys were hired
Stoops
yesterday.
Got hired November 27th, 2012.
Wow.
By CATS, Cats.
Cats. Oh, man. A historic day, Brett. A busy day. A lot of news all over the place.
I'm going to throw this pen away that I had to cross through Coach Nick Saban on that list.
Brett, you should frame it and, hang it on a wall or something. I don't know.
I like that idea, Brian. That's a great idea. Frame it up.
I got enough stuff.
Well,
I'm overrun with gadgetry and mementos.
I guess that's a good point. Well, let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Talk About Crunch Time.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
We all appreciate luxury. We love the newest technology. We want something that sparkles and looks great. Well, I've got it all in one place. It's called Genesis of Olive Branch, right at the corner of Highway 78. That's Lamar. And the first exit in Mississippi, that's Craft Road. Turn left and you will see Genesis of Olive Branch. And right now, you can get the 2024 Genesis GV70 starting at $49,480 with special financing as low as 3.49% on select models. How about the 2024 Genesis GV80? A little bit bigger, starting at $55,995, financing as low as 5.49% with a $2,000 rebate when trading a luxury brand. Call them. They'll even bring you a Genesis at your work or your home for a test drive. They're convinced that when you drive a Genesis, you're going to want one. Call 662-890-6684. Ask for Vinny. Genesis of Olive Branch.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. Schedule your holiday gift deliveries today at hogsfly.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so...
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that Los Angeles Clippers star Kawhi Leonard has signed a new 3-year, $152.4 million contract extension, keeping him under contract through the 2026-27 season in LA. This is a massive, fully guaranteed long-term commitment from the two sides to keep Kawhi Leonard in Los Angeles with the Clippers. And with this run they've been on, how hot they've been lately, Kawhi Leonard has been the star that of all the stars they have on that Clippers team, the big three, you could say, of the Clippers, he has certainly been the best player of those three. And for the Clippers to be able to lock him up and extend him, I don't believe there's a player option on this either. So this is a commitment from both sides to keep him in LA with what the Clippers are trying to do, building a new arena and trying to kind of give themselves a footprint of their own in LA. This is
to not be the
news.
Lakers.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This is massive news for them.
Yeah, and tonight Toronto, they stay right there and they play. And I know I know their coach was really running hot last night, but
he was.
He's going to get a big fine. I know he was mad, and you also noticed he never did curse. He was plenty mad, but he never did curse. He was plenty mad, but he's going to get a big fine because you can't go out there and say the games are fixed. No. I mean, you just can't do it, especially in the NBA. Post Tim Donahue. You know, on a day like this, you need a good friend. My good friend John Harden just texted me 297.
Hey, that's why
Thank you, John.
You have friends like John Harden.
That's right, yeah. That's right. And on this historic day, as we get the announcement of Coach Nick Saban calling it a career, I think the look back, the memories, the record, it will be something. But we're going to have to move quickly to who the next coach will be. That'll be something to watch over the next few days on. We'll see how Alabama handles it. They handle kind of tributes and pomp and circumstance down there so very well, and how they roll out the official announcement as he meets the media and meets the boosters and says that goodbye to Titletown.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting and weird to watch, and that's why it's what I could have done without today. The official announcement that Nick Saban is retiring. It just feels weird. Me and Johnny were talking about it during a break earlier. For us, college football has been Nick Saban. Nick Saban has been a part of it ever since we've started watching college football, and so it's a different feeling. It's weird. It's gonna be weird seeing all the tributes, all the thank yous to Nick Saban, and it's really going to feel real next September when we're playing games, and you will not see him on the sidelines, freaking out over a fumbled snap. It's going to be somebody new down there.
How about Tyson Helton when he goes to midfield for that pregame visit with the opposing coach, and he's standing on the field at BDS, and it won't be Nick Saban visiting with him. That'll be something I could have done with that. I go way back to the day that he was hired, and the bozos and the prophets of doom, first of all, saying what they're paying him $4 million a year. This is outrageous, and all the boo-hooing and whining. Yeah. They could have paid him $50 million, and he paid for every bit of it. In fact, at the going away press conference, Greg Byrne ought to hand him a check for $50 million. Say thank you.
I would love that. That would be great. Now, I mean, it is a crazy day in college football. Brett, where are you beaming tonight?
Beat me to Starkville for Tennessee at Mississippi State, 5th ranked in the net. The Vols versus 34th in the net, Mississippi State. State's 12-3 with losses to Georgia Tech, Southern University, and at South Carolina. State, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Florida tonight, all trying to avoid an 0-2 start.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun game that gets started here in just a couple minutes over on SEC Network. Brett, beat me, kind of an under-the-radar game for people that maybe haven't been paying attention to college basketball this season. 7 o'clock tonight, Indiana State, who's off to a 13-2 start to the season, taking on Drake, a 12-3 start for Drake, a Drake team that's coming off a loss to Belmont. Indiana State has turned into kind of the darling of college basketball this year with the start they've had. That one's on ESPN Plus 9. Should be a really, really fun game to watch.
Go Sycamores. Larry Bird's not walking through that door, though.
No, he is not. No.
I wonder if he ever goes back to games.
You know, that's a good question. I don't know.
You know, the 30 for 30 that I've been begging for is that 6 weeks, 8 weeks that Larry Bird spent on campus at Bloomington. You talking about the Gutenberg Bible of sports pictures. You cannot find a photo anywhere in him in practice togs. He didn't make it to photo day. I mean, he was out of there. You know, small town guy, got to Bloomington. It was real big. Night was really tough on him, and he got the heck out of Dodge. That's like finding the Holy Grail is to find him in some Indiana gear.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I believe it, though. But a busy day, Brett, but it should be a really good night. A lot of college basketball games. Some games that I'm really looking forward to tonight happening later in the night, but also
10 NBA games.
Yeah, I was about to say a very good slate in the NBA tonight. In 2 games, Brett, we're getting another midweek ABC game. Pelicans-Warriors on ABC tonight, and then 9 o'clock on ESPN, Nuggets and Jazz. So it should be a really, really fun night of basketball. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. If you're going down to the Tigers game, drive safe as that one tips off in about an hour. But so long, we'll do it again tomorrow afternoon.